interest in making more awkward, which again, that's best you could really hope for in that situation. Frankly, the starting lineup and whether CJ McCollum is or is not in it has a chance to be an awkward type of situation.
Well, let me bring that myself up about that. First off, I think Ingram was talking to reporters the other day and kind of like inadvertently just sort of said what their starting lineup has been in practice, and McCollum was in it. And that's been one of the things that's kind of leaked out, is that in their workouts. Now, we have had 3 days of practice here. I'm not trying to say that it's been decided, but they've basically been going with Trey Murphy coming off the bench and McCollum in the lineup, which is a very small suspect. DeJounte Murray and McCollum basically starting together.
Well, let's call a spade about that. What's going on over the next 2.5 weeks?
Trey Murphy contract negotiations.
Ding.
Extension negotiations.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Listen, and also, come on, like, let's just be real. Trey Murphy is a part of the Pelicans' long-term future.
Right.
CJ is a part of probably ESPN's long-term future. but CJ, like, it's transaction cycle to transaction cycle for him. It's not even year to year, for him with New Orleans at this point. That's just it's nothing against him. That's just the reality of the situation. The other reality is, quite frankly, he's at the point in his career where it probably makes sense for CJ to transition into that 6-man instant offense type of role.
I mean,
especially when the other option is, for a team that lacks size, the 6'9", 6'10", floor spacing young guy who is on the rise.
I mean, listen, it would be unserious if the Pelicans go into the season with CJ McCollum starting over Trey Murphy. It would just be an unserious decision. If they're going to play this way, they need to, if they're going to play Zion at center. Now, if you want to say you need to go into the season starting Daniel Tice at center because you don't want Zion to play center full time, and then either Herb Jones or Trey Murphy presumably is coming off the bench, I would disagree with that, but I would at least somewhat understand why you're doing that. Mm-hmm. If you start CJ McCollum over either one of those guys, it's just unserious. Like, they have to go into the season. That I've said a few times, I think that lineup of DeJounte, Herb, Trey, Brandon Ingram, and Zion is the most interesting lineup a team can roll out there this year. I would be fascinated to see what that team looks like with a healthy, slimmed down Zion, Brandon Ingram at least saying the right things in the contract year, Herb Jones, one of the better perimeter defenders, just flat out defensive players in the league. It's Trey Murphy, who, if you talk to people around the league, has a ton of fans, guy who can bomb it from deep, has room to grow as a player. And then DeJounte Murray is an interesting player who's in a different situation now and seems very excited to be with the Pelicans. That's a group that I want to see play and see what they can do. If they are not running out there with that group, it's just hard to look at them and think that they've got a chance to be a real factor in the West. Whereas if that 5-man unit could turn into something, maybe they do have a chance to be a factor in the West. But it's got to be having their best 5 players on the court, not messing around with this other stuff that just isn't getting them where they want to go.
Yeah, and if you're making lineup decisions based on appeasing a vet, that's a tough way to go about business when you are trying to, they've kind of steadily ticked up, but they haven't ticked out of the playoff spot. Or I'm sorry, the play-in scenario. They're trying to elevate into a guaranteed playoff berth, and you don't have time, and you can't afford to be doing things you don't want to do to massage. Let's just be honest, to massage an ego. And listen, CJ has every right to have a ton of pride. He's had a great career. He's been a starter. I'd have to go back to see when the last time he came off the bench, if ever. I don't know if he ever came off the bench.
Well, by the way, him coming, you said it before, him coming off the bench is the best thing for him. Like, it's a really good role for him to come off the bench with that team, to run the offense when DeJounte isn't on the court.
Yep.
To space the floor when you have any of those guys come up. Like, CJ's still a great shooter. He can still run the point. He's a great vet to have around. Like, he's a very useful player still.
Yep.
But you can't be having him play over Herb Jones or Trey Murphy in the critical moments of the game. Like, this is the time to transition to that kind of role. And if he could do that for another 6-7 years if he wants.
Well, and
like,
the other thing here is they took not a all in type of swing, but a pretty big swing on the DeJounte Murray deal, right? And if you're going to make a major move like that, you have to put that player in the best position to succeed. And I would say one of the things that was funky about the fit with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young is DeJounte Murray is a very good defender on point guards, but defending bigger wings and all that stuff is not his forte. He's no longer a defensive asset if he's having to defend these bigger wings. So I think you want to stagger those guys' minutes as much as possible.
All right, Fall Things Pelicans. You're now tuned into the Pelican Postgame Report. Much love to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in the stream. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're not a sub, please feel free to subscribe, man. PPR, we in here representing the Flocking Nation stand up. We started the broadcast off with the Hoop Collective. That's Wendy, Bond Temps, and McMahon talking about some of the stuff that we talked about here on PPR months ago when all this stuff was twisted and turning. We talked about the CJ McCollum being included in the 5, and more than I don't think it's to kind of coax his ego. I think it's more so it's very expensive. The guy makes 33 and a third, $30 million. He's one of the $30 million players that we have. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, the Pelican Brain Trust want to include him in the 5. And I agree with what Tim was saying about, Bond Temps was saying about having your best 5 on the floor. Would be intriguing to have that 5 lineup. And also I'm going to play the skit from Willie talking about the positionless basketball in the 5 of having Zion there when they have a centerless situation, having him there operating at the 5. And just to say this before, many of the family members said they're not comfortable with Zion playing the 5 because of certain fragility issues that he exhibited before. So shout out to you guys. Appreciate you being here. I'm Big Q. We got Lex in the building as well. DC will join later on, but Lex, you heard with Bond Temps, McMahon, and Wendy, one of our favorite reporters that we like to pick at every now and then. And we said, shout out to Wendy. But what do you think about some of the commentaries? Like we talked about this months ago. What do you think about what they're saying?
Probably a week ago, Big Q.
you ain't never lying.
I mean, I agree that Trey Murphy is in the foreseeable future. And I think we have to ask ourselves, at what point in time are we trying to invest in him? Invest in getting him more playing time. He's already stated he feels like he's a starter. He feels like in the league. He said that first. He can go anywhere on another team and he can start. Okay? So the thing is that he's aware of, I feel like, his whole situation. You know what I'm saying? And I hope the Pelicans, heard that, because it's like, hey, if I'm a part of the foreseeable future for this organization, at some point in time, you all need to kind of start prioritizing me, because I kind of feel like the whole situation is kind of on the back burner. And he says that it's cool, it's fine. I heard all that part, but it's like, hey, man, things can change, like, in less than 60 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he's saying that like now, but things can change, especially if, something just takes a wrong turn somewhere down the line. But, I mean, I don't think it would be a bad idea for CJ to come off the bench. I think, like you were alluding to, Big Q, 33 mil is a lot. And so when you're talking about, because there's a business part of this, there's a business part. And it's like, yeah, I'd like him to come off the bench, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to pay that type money to someone coming off the bench, which leads to CJ, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for real, like, because he's not in the foreseeable future anyway. But I mean, you see how it has a ripple effect because he's not. Let's be real, man. CJ ain't gonna volunteer to take no daggone pay cut.
He ain't giving up no money.
He even said, man, look, I don't mind playing the 6th man, but I'm not gonna volunteer. He said that. I think that was day 2 training camp. I do believe either day 2 or day 3. He actually said that.
He did.
Just like that. Okay. He's not trying to volunteer, people. So the thing is that this is the situation, because look, we got to ask ourselves another question. What are the Pelicans trying to do? Are we trying to, like what dude said, massage an ego, or are the Pelicans trying to win? Are we trying to win? Are we really locked in on winning? We know that there's the business part of it, but are we locked on as far as on winning? And it's like, what's going to be the best situation for this team to win? Like, these are the questions that we have to think about. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we really got to think about that. As far as them, like, I want to squash this. We need to stop talking about Zion in that 5. I want him to get so far, his name to get so far away from that number. It's not even funny. Because the thing is, and I've been asking this question for weeks.
Hold on, Lex. Hold on. You want him to get away from talking about the 5? Hold on, just before you say that, let me play Willie. I want you to reply to what Willie says about that.
Yeah,
because
I know.
Okay. Boy, you get there. But hold on, Michael. Shout out to you, Michael. Thank you for the super sticker, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. All right, here we go, man. Let's hear from Willie, the man, the myth, the myth, the legend himself.
No, just the man for right now.
They're in a situation where it's like, okay, we can start Draymond at the 4 or the 5. And he told reporters there, he's like, I am a little bit wary of starting Draymond at the 5 in this league where, like, it's just gotten bigger. There's a lot more size than there used to be. What are your, I guess, thoughts on that of, like, okay, if we do start games with our wing lineups of, like, this is just a bigger league now than it was?
Yeah, I think that for them, that's the case. You think about Draymond, his history. He's been to 6 NBA Finals. He's coming in the year 13, 14. He's got a lot of miles on him, so you want to save him for late game situations where he's probably going to be on finals. For us, we want to give all different lineups a look. It may be positionless. It may be no traditional 5 on the floor. There's times that it could be a 5 depending on matchups from there. So we're kind of new to it, but at the same time, I think it could be beneficial if we get really good at it.
And if that's what you guys do at an opening night, like, who guards Vucevic?
We'll see.
Right. All right, Lex. That's Willie. Please feel free. You
I
have the
thought
floor.
you were gonna play the other one.
No, that's the one that actually it fits right there because he does talk a little bit about it. But go ahead, feel free to. You got the floor.
Well, there was another one where he corrected a reporter saying that Zion is not a 5. Let's just make that clear right now. Zion is not a 5. Which I thought it was funny because then he went on to say positionless.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, even with positionless, a lot of people are going to automatically, if Zion is out there and you have 4 other wings on the court with Zion, everybody's going to still have in their mind, oh, Zion's the 5. So he's saying that, but, saying it and you know what I'm saying? It just, this whole thing is just weird. This is just a weird roster. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I do want to, because Trapper G was saying that BI starting, so I guess we trying to massage egos. I mean,
mean,
right
what
now,
are we supposed? I mean, we gotta play these guys, man. Right now, the CJ McCollum thing, we know it's an economic component, not so much about him, whatnot. $30 million, and you ask him to ride the bench. Me personally, I wouldn't give a damn if I would rather have DeJounte Murray and Herb Jones out there in my backcourt, to be honest with you. But they talk about not having enough shooting, and then of course, which still Herb Jones is shooting a high percentage from three. He's not exactly a shooter in terms of experience as a CJ McCollum is, but he's definitely peaking. He's a guy that's a true 3-and-D in my book. His defense is next level, and now it's a very intriguing backcourt to have a DeJounte Murray and Herb Jones together. But then again, like if you look at the 33 and the third that this guy makes is ridiculous. So I think that's the economic component a lot of people are talking about. In terms of BI, you gotta play BI, right? He gives you the best chance to win. He's a part of you put your best 5 guys on the floor. It's Zion, and BI is one of those guys, right? So you got to be able to put him out there and have him to perform, and then eventually win a trade, because eventually the Pelicans are, based on what we have right now, there is no resolve right now. He's just going to play out his deal, and at some point between now and then, somebody's going to say, okay, we want to take a stab at him and see what we do. So they got to play Brandon Ingram. But go ahead, Lex. You was saying it's the weirdness of the lineup. Kind of delve into that a little bit before we get to the next topic. You're muted, Lex.
My bad. My bad. I'm not saying that small ball does not work. I actually like small ball, because depending on matchups, I mean, sometimes it is a huge matchup nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I have about small ball is the playoff picture. Because the thing is in the playoffs, see, in regular season, you're playing a different team every other night. Sometimes you will play a team 2 times in a row, but there's a day in between and all that stuff. But my thing is when playoffs come, what is that small ball going to look like against a playoff team? Because I say this all the time, and we've heard this from a lot of people, from a lot of ex-players, Hall of Famers, analysts. The playoffs is a different breed. It's not
Indeed.
Regular season.
Right.
That team is able to focus on everything. Oh, okay, so we know this team is going to go small. Hey, man, we are going to pound the living snot out of this ball down low. We are going to feed that ball in the post. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, if you have the right front court to give that collective attack, it's going to create problems. You know what I'm saying? Because then look, you have foul trouble. You know what I'm saying? Come on. The Pelicans are going up against other professional teams. It's not like you're not going up against, especially the coaching. You're going up against other coaches that are masterminds. You know what I'm saying? Who know how to coach and to maneuver with that. Just like how they did with CJ McCollum. What did the OKC do? They hunted CJ.
They did.
They hunted the mismatch. Okay? Like, and this is if CJ even starts. Now, CJ against the second units, oh my gosh, he would kill. He could go ham. Now, I wouldn't have him at the point. I would have Jose and him playing off Jose so that he is playing off of the point guard. You see what I'm saying?
Because he'll disrupt everything. He'll do what he doing last year. He'll just get ball hoggish. Start jacking up threes. Yeah, you still got to keep him off ball where you start him off the bench.
Freedom to do that. He'll have
Right.
that type of freedom. And that's the great thing about being in that second unit. He may not want to do that. And I get it, because once you go into that second unit, it almost kind of solidifies, okay, the view of you changes. And so from then on, that's how you're looked at around the league. It's almost like you can't even get back to that starting lineup if he is traded somewhere else and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Wade, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he would actually thrive. But look at Boston. If you look at all of their starting five, all their starting five, they shoot threes. All of them can go inside. All of them have a mid-range. You see where I'm getting at? Like, all of them are a huge threat. And for the most part, obviously, Derek White and Drew Holiday are their defensive juggernauts. Okay. But everybody is pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to pinpoint their weakness because everybody out there is such a threat. With the Pelicans, it's not quite like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's obviously you have Zion. He doesn't shoot outside, but he's very dominant on the inside, which kind of makes up for that. And by him saying that he plans on shooting more in the mid-range, which is really good. You know what I'm saying? That'll actually open up his game even more and open up a whole lot for everybody else, because they're going to have to pick and choose their poison. But with CJ, he's a liability on defense. Other teams know this.
Yeah.
Other teams know it. With DeJounte Murray, one thing that they pointed out when he was at the Hawks, DeJounte Murray's defense really thrives against the point guards. If you look at DeJounte Murray, he's not like big like that. You know what I'm saying? So when you have him on a wing, especially if that wing is big, Murray's going to struggle. You know what I'm saying? His edge, his main edge is against the point guards. You know, so there's a lot of different things when you start dissecting the team and getting into like, okay, each person's, their strengths and their weaknesses. It really opens the door to like, okay, hey, we see a crack in the armor. Let's attack here. Let's exploit this right here. And that's the thing that, you run into. And you can say that about any team. But when you look at Boston, it's like they're solid. Their whole team is solid.
Yeah,
like,
I think
it's not like, okay, well, you have some players that are here and here and here, and they're like solid across the board when it comes to their defense, rebounding, handling the rock, mid-range, shooting outside, attacking on the inside. You know what I'm saying? And athleticism.
and the intelligence too. IQ is very high with Boston.
IQ. Yeah, IQ is definitely up there.
The experiences there with Boston, they have two really bona fide special talents that's there for them that fits the system. I think Boston is who most teams are striving to kind of look like. So you see what the Pelicans got going on, man, and we got a lot of talent, man. But the issue with, I think you speak about it, you think there wouldn't be a best usage of talent for the Pelicans to utilize that 5 lineup with Zion potentially playing, and they are getting a lot of kickback on that idea. So we know preseason opens up on Monday with the Pelicans' first matchup against Orlando. So we'll see what they've been working on in practice, man, to see if any of this fits. In certain lineups, you can kind of see what Willie Green is talking about insofar as him at 5. But me personally, I'm not really big on the 5 lineup because of Zion's injury history, man. Let's kind of we're gonna address that. Let's go into this next article right here, Lex. This one right here, we're talking about Trey Murphy. Of course, we know that Trey Murphy got injured. He'll be missing several weeks here. So we'll be without him in the lineup. Unfortunately, Pelicans prepare to begin the 24-25 season without Trey. For a second straight regular season, the Pelicans will need to prepare for not having Trey Murphy in the uniform at the onset of the 82 campaign. On Thursday, the Pelicans announced that Murphy will be re-examined in 3 weeks due to a hamstring strain. A hamstring strain. Let's try saying that 5 times in a row. That timeline would mean he's sidelined for the team's October the 23rd opener against Chicago in the Smoothie King Center. Tough news about Trey. Fourth-year head coach Willie Green said at Saturday's practice in Nashville, he looked really good coming into camp. He was playing well, so a bit of a setback. I'm not quite sure exactly how it happened, but it's disappointing. We're a little disappointed, but it's a part of the game. We're grateful that it's not more severe. We'll see how it goes from here. Murphy made the second most three-pointers on the Pelicans players with 169, even though his season didn't officially start until December the 1st versus San Antonio. He appeared in 57 games, sitting out the first 9 due to the knee injury. Pelicans had a so-so start without Murphy, going just 10-9 prior to his debut. Overall, the Pelicans were 35-22 in the 57 games played compared to 14-11 when he did not play. Let me say that again, because a lot of people often ask the question of the impact of Trey Murphy. Here's an interesting stat line. The Pelicans had a so-so start with Murphy going just 10-9 prior to his debut. Overall, New Orleans was 35-22 in the 57 games played compared to 14-11 when he did not play. So that's a bit of information right there on him dealing with Trey Murphy. So that's something that we'll just have to keep an eye out on. And then just kind of add this article in here for some of the dates some of the family members need to kind of remember here that we should be aware of. Shout out to Kyle T and the Pelicans on Sports Illustrated. Here's a few dates for the Pelicans family members to keep a track of. A lot of questions surrounding after media day. Easily the biggest question is the future. Will BI without a long-term extension? His name is going to pop up in trade rumors consistently. He's no longer seems to fit with the current core, and a trade would be best for both sides. His extension isn't the only thing to keep an eye out on. The calendar flips. Let's talk about some of this stuff. As the calendar gets ready to flip to October, we're getting dangerously close to the deadline for Trey Murphy's rookie scale extension. The first round pick back in 2021 out of the University of Virginia, the talented two-way wing is ready to break out, but as long as Ingram remains in the fold, projections will remain tepid as he plays the same position. The first important date to keep an eye out for the faithful is October the 21st. That is the last day that Murphy and CJ McCollum are eligible for their extensions. The window for the veteran shooting guard to talk about a long-term deal open on September the 26th. Given the franchise has never paid the luxury tax in its existence, it is hard to envision McCollum getting an extension before the deadline. Being 33 years old with 2 years remaining on his contract and an undefined role heading into the 24-25 campaign, new deal is unlikely. Another date to keep an eye on is October the 31st. Halloween is the deadline to make a decision about the third-year team option and we already covered this because they did ultimately. The Pelicans ultimately did do that. The Pelicans exercised the 25-26 option on Jordan Hawkins. They picked up the third-year option for Jordan. They announced it on the press release. Hawkins, who was selected 14 overall in last year's draft, was already under contract, $4.5 million for 24-25. He will now earn a $4.7 during his 25-26 season as well. The Pelicans will have until next October to determine whether they exercise the fourth-year option on Hawkins. The option for the 26-27 is worth over $7 million. As a rookie, the former UConn guard appeared in 67 regular season games. That's 7.3 minutes per contest, averaged just under 8 points with 2.2 rebounds while shooting just almost 37% from downtown. Had a head full of handful of big scoring games, including the career high 34 points in January's 13th victory over Dallas, but his minutes were sporadic when the Pelicans were at full strength. Hawkins, 22, said in July that he was focused on improving defensively as he enters his second year. So the deadline for teams to decide on the 25-26 rookie scale team options are October the 31st, and we'll be keeping an eye on all of that. Back to the article. The first round pick, and we talked about this as well, and we'll see what happens there. We'll see the Pelicans on the court for the first time on preseason October the 7th when they face off with the Magic for their only home game of the preseason. And, and we'll go from there. The regular season will tip off October the 23rd at home against the Bulls before a 4-game road trip against the Trailblazers and Golden State. So that's a few of the dates to be aware of, and we were able to kind of go through that and go through the contract aspect and with Trey Murphy out, Lex. Trey Murphy is out, who is a lot of people think that it should be Hawkins will get an opportunity to step in and show what he can do. We are big supporters of Jayhawk. What say you?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, he's here. I mean, he has something that we need, and that's shooting. When you're talking about having such a juggernaut talent in Zion Williamson, you got to have shooting around that. That's why the synergy and the chemistry that Trey brings, and you saw that in the stats, that Trey Murphy, his presence is vital. Now, obviously, Jordan Hawkins is not 6'9", 6'10", and Trey Murphy, but from what he's been doing in training camp, the dude's been making a whole lot of noise. So, and really after I think after day 3, that's when they came to him, to exercise that player option. So, I mean, obviously he's been showing up and showing out in training camp, which is what we love to hear. But definitely, I think I like to think that he would have, a chance in that role. I don't know if he would be directly off the bench. That still may be Jose. I guess depending on the rotations and all that stuff. I guess we'll also see how the rotations will be on Monday. But yeah, I think with what he's been doing in training camp, I think he's earned the trust of Willie to get out there and really do his thing. I mean, he's put emphasis on his defense, but another thing, like he's really emphasized, a whole lot more with his shooting to really get his shot off. So, and I think Matt Ryan, one thing that Matt Ryan said in his interview is that they emphasized the first day of training camp, they emphasized shooting 43s. That's what he said. And you all can go back and listen, check out his interview. That's on one of the PPR streams. So just check it out on the channel. But he stated that. And he said that, obviously because of, some injuries, they really could not accomplish, doing that strategy as far as putting up 43s. But once everybody started coming back and getting acclimated and they were full strength, you started to see that down the stretch at the end of the season on last season. So that, like this season, the mindset is to come in getting up 43s.
Right.
And obviously we want them to be high percentage shots, the right situation, and not just jacking up threes and everything, but really establishing that at the beginning of the year instead of waiting later into the year going into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the point of emphasis. Willie been really pushing on the 43 mindset, putting up the 43s. He's shooting a higher clip, getting used to being a 3-point shooting team, playing defense and taking the shots. And like we said, Zion Williamson, and it's a big part of this. And of course, him getting BI, the emphasis on BI to shoot the three more, all this kind of stuff. So that's just a universal message throughout the team. And Jordan Hawkins is a guy that we know can shoot that three. With Trey Murphy down, of course, that's our other first round draft pick. This is our other sharpshooter that we envision having Trey Murphy, and then having another sharpshooter like Jayhawk here. When we got him together, it was like, man, we got all these fantastic shooters. We got Zion, the center of gravity there. So when everybody wants to pay attention to him and wants to double down on him, these guys are just standing there waiting for the opportunity to let it fly. So that's a great thing to have Jordan Hawkins. So I'm excited for Jordan Hawkins coming into this year as well. I just want Trey Murphy to get well. I think he'll be fantastic. Now, to kind of talk about it, we heard Bon Temps and McMahon and Wendy make mention of the fact that, of the CJ McCollum card and about CJ and the roster, what lineup they believe would be the most potent lineup. I'm going to ask the faithful that as well. What do you guys think about this? What to you, and Lex, feel free to answer this question, what to you is the most potent lineup that the Pelicans can roll out?
I think definitely starting off with Tice, Zion. Ideally, I would like Herb to be in the lineup. Obviously, DeJounte at the one, and then you would have Brandon at the three. So I think that's probably going to be the ideal lineup that they may go with.
Yeah, and I have to look at it, man. But I think a lot of and you said Tice. Obviously Murray and Herb to me, and then there's the question of 3-point shooting. I definitely like the potentiality of having DeJounte Murray and Herb Jones backcourt. I mean, that to me is fantastic. DeJounte's 6'5", Herb is what, 6'7", 6'8", somewhere along in there. Both of those guys are not only defensive minded, but Herb is developed into a 3-and-D guy that can shoot the three ball. Their tone setting would be ridiculous. The toughness of DeJounte and Herb, and then you get down with Zion and BI, and then ultimately the 5 position. You would like to see a guy perhaps like Trey in there, because if it's not in against a center rotation. But I don't want to get stuck in the minutia of us like seeming like we're a team that doesn't have 7-footers that we can match up with other 7-footers. I mean, we do have some guys there that are inexperienced, and maybe perhaps it's a process of thinking with Willie Green that they'll bring some of these guys along. That's why I put the roster up here for the family members to look at. They do have 7-footers on the roster. Some of these guys are inexperienced, and you got Daniel Tice, who is 6'8" there, but he's not the fastest guy. But Daniel Tice could help, like in those smaller lineups. He's tough. He wouldn't be a guy you want to see against Wemby. You would probably want to roll out a bigger guy to throw at him. Hell, you might want to throw a couple of 7-footers at Wemby, to kind of slow him down or to eat up fouls, because we can do that. We can goon it out if we want to. Trey Jemison, depending on how Willie Green in the brain trust the Pelicans utilize, we do have other guys that we can kind of goon it out, so to speak. Trey Jemison is a 7-footer. Yves Misi is a 7-footer. So they're not experienced guys, but those are guys, depending on what your lineup look like, you can be able to roll these guys against 7-footers to kind of slow them down, if you will. I don't think you'll be counting on any of these guys to score a ton of baskets for you, but to play defense, shot block, and clean up the offensive glass, to get rebounds on the defensive end, is that the thought process? But Daniel Tice is the guy that can shoot the 3-ball. He can shoot the 3-ball. He's intelligent. He won't have like what Big V used to have, the Big V setting picks, and Big V, they hit him with that. This guy Tice is a very slick pick setter, very slick, knows how to roll, is a good passer of the ball. And like I said, he can take a 3-point shot. He took a bunch of them last year. So it'll be interesting to see how the Pelicans roll all of this out, man. But like I said, the 5 only like position is basketball. Like Willie mentioned the Draymond thing. He talked about Golden State and the fact that how Draymond, at some aspects, played at the 5 for certain looks. Like if you have a team with a smaller lineup, maybe we can roll Zion, Adam, all this kind of stuff, and it's potentiality. But I think people are hesitant. They don't want to see him at the 5 because of his fragility. He would have to prove 2 big things on the Zion front, fam, that a lot of the faithful who've been watching him over in the Pelican blue for a long time are fearful of. The fact that he played 70 games last year, which is the most of games that he played, and then gets to the playing game, we dominating, and we would have won if he stayed. We'd have beat them Lakers. He gets hurt, everything turns to hell in the handbasket. Getting Zion to play a full season and being available for the play-ins, for the playoffs rather, would be big. That's something that people want to see. Can he stay healthy through the season, ultimately have access to the playoffs? Because that's the sticking point. Having Zion and this rich team, this deep team with all these players would definitely help. So that's the thinking on. I think Daniel Tice ain't a bad idea, Lex, to be honest with you. But what's the family think about it? What do y'all guys? Y'all throw out y'all 5 that y'all think will be the best 5 for the Pelicans. Throw it in the chat. I'll highlight you guys, man. I'll highlight what you say. But yeah, Lex, let's keep it pushing on that. Yeah, the CJ McCollum thing is also something that's been prevalent about him taking more of a position. But me personally, I agree. I think CJ McCollum should come off the bench. I don't have the reservations about Herb Jones being there's not going to be enough 3-point shooting queue with DeJounte Murray and CJ. I've heard that. I disagree with that. I think that Herb Jones is a 3-and-D. I think you'll get 3-point shooting from Herb Jones. They won't. Willie wants Brandon Ingram to take more of the 3. So that's the focus. That's the point that I want to see. And of course, it empowers the bench too, because having CJ to play off bench, off ball with Jose Alvarado there, and whoever else they're bringing off the bench should be a big help for our bench and keep that scoring coming off the bench too. Plus, he'll be playing against non-starters rather, off the bench, which should be easier for a guy like CJ McCollum, right? What are your thoughts on that?
I want to say this before that, that's one thing about Trey Murphy's injury.
Hold on, Lex. Let me give you the flow. Here you go.
What? What you do not have to do all that, man. Come on, man.
Go ahead, Lex. The world is watching you, girl. Go ahead.
I know. I see that. Thank you. I ain't trying to look at myself, man. I ain't trying to do that. You give me like stage,
you got stage fright now? Come on now. Well, look, talk about it. Come on.
If I'm on the basketball court, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's different. I ain't stage fright. But,
you got a shutter stage. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, you just kind of bam. You know what I'm saying? Just like put me on blast there. I hope a lot of y'all didn't see that, man. Look, I should have just went like this. You know what I'm saying? Sure, that's too close. That's too close. You're getting a little bit too close. I hope I looked all right. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause, I know y'all look. I hope it wasn't one of those situations.
Like she look good, girl. Cut it out. You good.
Somebody looking at you all close up, from a distance, and then you get close up on them, be like, oh wow. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, John, look what Johnny said. Johnny says, looking good, closer view. There you go.
Well, all y'all know what I look like. Okay, that's what I look like. But anyway, man, why you do that? I just
Lex, look what the people saying. They say, "Hey, you are beautiful, Lex. Come on now."
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's right.
What was I saying? Oh, one cool thing about Trey is that he kind of made it easier for for the starting position now, because now it's down to 6. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say that, but it's like, good. All right. Trey's gonna be out for a while, and then he's gonna ramp out. That basically solidified, dog, you ain't getting no starting position. You know what I'm saying? Because once they give out the starting positions, you know what I'm saying? Hey man, you coming off the bench, you got hurt. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he would actually have to really be doing some next level stuff in order for them to make a lineup change like down the road. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to understand, they're reevaluating him
Mm-hmm.
in like 3 weeks. So
Right.
that doesn't mean that he's going to be
He's gonna be
playing.
ready in 3 weeks. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and then you got to think his conditioning. He's got to, run some suicides, you know what I'm saying? Get up and down the court, get a feel, make sure that it's all the way 100. So you might be even looking at a month, you know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the season's starting and everything, but the last thing that you want to do when it comes to a hamstring injury, you don't want to re-aggravate that bad boy. Oh my gosh, you do
Right.
not want to re-aggravate a hamstring. So, but yeah, basically he made the process easier to pick out the starters, because now it's down to 6 instead of 7. So I guess somebody needs to be thanking Trey. You know what I'm saying? Like, thanks, man. Appreciate you, dog. You know what I'm saying? I know that's a horrible way to look at it. But you know how it is, man.
Yeah.
Even though they a team, you're still kind of competing. You know what I'm saying? You competing for minutes. I mean, Matt Ryan just talked about that. Like, the bench players, they know they're not going to be starting. And he said, hey man, we're going to be competing for playing time. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's what a lot of the bench players are doing right now. So it's kind of for everybody not named Zion and DeJounte, that's how it is. That's how you're competing for that starting position right now. So,
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. We talk about the fact that we looking at who will be the top 5, but man, listen. Also, what's the 5 without a competent bench? It depended on what it looks like. Who's going to be the bench guy? We know Jose Alvarado. We already heard what Bi said in terms of talking about the CJ McCollum being added in the top 5. So whether it's CJ McCollum, and we'll see what the lineup looks like on Monday when they roll it out. But still in all, whether it's like I said, I'd like to see Herb and DeJounte Murray, obviously, because I think they're a perfect match right there. I think people are really, for people who's saying that that's not enough 3-point shooting right there, I would have to disagree, because Herb Jones to me is a real 3D. I think he's transformed his game into a 3D a player. He would fit really well next to DeJounte Murray. Their mentalities would fit, and I think that would just be a tough ass backcourt that you won't be able to push around. You got 6'5" DeJounte, you got a 6'7" Herb. Both of those guys are defensive centric with offensive games to them. They will give backcourts hell night after night. You're not pushing those guys around. And of course, you have CJ and Jose coming off the bench. You have the tough mentality of Jose Alvarado. He got his money, so he feeling real good. CJ's 3-point shooting off of him, and then whoever else you got coming off the bench to match up. And I'm not certain who that's going to be. We know Trey Murphy would be a member of the bench team. With him being out, that also presents Jordan Hawkins an opportunity. We talked about that. But Jeremiah Robinson Earl is another guy who is like a Larry Nance light type of player that we often talk about. Who's the center, Lex? Is Yves the first guy off the bench? If it's not named Daniel Tice, will the Pelicans get Yves Misi going in there? Will he be a guy? Is it Carlo Mekovic? So there we'll see in another couple of players that would be interesting to see who fits where is Javonte Green and Matt Ryan. So those are other guys too who could be fighting for those minutes as well. And Javonte Green's game is actually a pretty solid game and a very versatile player. So let's kind of delve into the bench. Lex, what you think about that?
You know what? I do have a question before I go into that.
Okay.
Who's been doing better in training camp, Yves Missi or Makovich?
I've heard some positive stuff about Carlo Mekovic. I've seen some film on Yves, but I don't know. I don't know who's been doing better, so to
Because
speak.
it seems like it may be between Makovich and Yves Missi, but
Mhm.
you know, because he's been doing well in, but I don't know. I mean, he I still feel like he needs more reps, but it's kind of hard to say. You know what I'm saying? With all three of those guys.
Hold on, Lex. We got
Uh-oh.
a pale hater in the building. It's Big Sean. It won't
What's
matter.
going on, Big Sean? How you doing, man?
Sean, shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you being on PPR. This is the Pelican stream, not the San Antonio Spurs stream. We do have something for Tasha and Sean every time they pop up. We like to put their coach Greg Popovich on screen. This is a picture of Greg Popovich trying to come up with a plan to stop Zion Williamson. Here we go. There you go. That's Greg Popovich trying to figure out a way to stop Zion Williamson. Shout out to the Spurs.
I feel you, Big Q, but let me tell you something. Look, I still like Greg Popovich and I like Christopher Lloyd. So you know what I'm saying? I like
me. They're the same damn person. What you talking about, Lex? That's the same damn person, man.
Still look. Any day. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Any day. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. You know, look, they could do it today. They could do it today. All right. Bye, bro, Willie. Bye. Deuces.
But see, that's a part of the game, man. That's what I'm saying. It gets to a point like right now, it's a lot of talent. We've seen, you know, how would BI react, such and such. We've seen the press conferences, we've seen how they're behaving in camp. I don't think it's a negative environment. I think it's a positive environment. I think you know, everybody's professional, they're all moving on the same accord. We have to absorb the Trey Murphy injury. We got Jordan Hawkins that'll give him an opportunity to step in, perhaps to give another one of these other players opportunity to step up and see what they can do, because there are players on the team that we want to see who can fill out the back of this active roster. So there are quite a few people here, regardless of who they put in. The Pelicans still have a dangerous squad. We just got a bunch of bigs that we are unproven, except for Daniel Tice, and I think that's the big sentiment. But go ahead, Lex, what you was gonna say on that?
Oh, as far as with the bench and everything.
Yeah, here come Tasha.
Uh-oh.
All right.
What's going on, Mother Tasha?
She says, see, man, I was watching the Dodgers play. I didn't even do anything.
You called her
I
up.
agree. You agree with Big Sean? Of course you do.
Look, you called her up. Big Sean just looked across the room, be like, hey,
Sean, I don't insult my coach. I don't know what you talk about, brother.
Be like, he talking crazy about you, back.
Yeah, he right over there. He's sitting right next to her. You see what Q did? You see what he did? I'm not insulting your coach, brother. I just put a picture of him up here trying to game plan for the Pelicans, man. And you think that's an insult? This is his picture. This is Greg Popovich.
He's talking about
trying to figure out something.
Willie Green.
Oh,
he
well.
said we do that for him.
I don't insult Willie Green. We don't insult Willie Green. There's no insults around here. I mean, Lex.
Yeah, he's a good dude. You know, he just has some coaching woes.
So, but go ahead, Lex. Go ahead, Lex. I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that. All right, but go ahead, Lex. Go ahead into your commentary on that.
Well, I don't know that man. You know what I'm saying? I just know as a coach, his job description, he doesn't really fulfill it the greatest. You know what I'm saying? So saying someone qualified for a job and everything, that's I don't think that's an insult. It just means you ain't qualified. Sorry, that ain't no insult. know what I'm
Lex,
saying?
Lex.
What?
So
I
this is
just
the
want to explain because I don't want nobody to think that we insulting anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Tasha and
We
Sean are gonna spend it the way they want to spend it because they Spurs. They Spurs. So
what was the question on the bench? I'm sorry.
no,
sorry.
but we there's a lot of talk about the top five, who's going to be the five. But we of course the bench is important too. We gonna need benches and
Yeah.
a very thorough bench. Let's talk
Mhm.
about the guys off the bench who you think will have an opportunity to kind of step in there because we know that's important.
Yeah, and one thing that we all got to understand is that we have a lot of shooters that are on our bench.
Right.
We have a bulk of our shooting that really do a great job spreading the floor. They're on the bench. And then obviously, we're starting off with, well, we don't know that for sure, but we'll see on Monday as far as with the starting lineup. Cause that's the weird thing about talking about this. Cause we don't know if Herb's going to be starting, you know what I'm saying? Or if CJ. So I wish we knew that part because, that plays a huge part in, as far as how the bench goes. But really, whatever shooter is playing the best defense is going to be out there playing. Whatever shooter on the bench, because we know Jose, he has that energy and defensive prowess about him. So he's going to get in because of that defense. The defense is the foundation of all of this. Okay? It's
Right.
the total foundation of who's going to get in. And so whatever shooter, because basically the rest of the guys are shooters. Maybe not so much with Javante. I mean, he can still shoot, but I'm saying like snipers like, Matt Ryan, Trey Murphy, Jordan Hawkins. I want to say there was somebody else. Is that it? That basically, well, really it's them three. But who's gonna play the best defense? Because if you're not playing solid defense, your man's doing you. You know what I'm saying? If that's a problem, well, I mean that's what that's what it boils down to. As far as who's gonna get the most clock. I think JRE and Javante Green, I think they're basically that'll be a situation more so like for Zion. I can see them coming in more so for Zion. If you do have, Tice out there, Jemison or Makovich or even Yves Misi, because I'm pretty sure he is going to get into some NBA games, but I still think he'll spend more time in the G League. But if they're out there, I can see them coming in for Zion, playing that spot. Or if they do want to go small, they could, swap out into that 5 spot while, Zion is still out there at the 4. Even though I feel like he should be playing a different position, but we won't talk about that. What?
Hey, I like I said, I think it's intriguing because I really want to get a good look at the rest of these bench guys. We talk about Javante Green. I watched some film on Javante Green. I like how he plays, very tough player. How the Pelicans could use him. I know Jeremiah Robinson Earl is another player that a lot of people believe, DC included, that he'll be the next Larry Nance. That's his matter of fact. That's what he says. He'll believe that he'll be the backup center coming in for the team. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But out of like I said, it's if you talk about the centers, obviously they made mention about Tice. We know Tice is the experience. He's a safer bet there. Yves is a first round draft pick, a guy that at some point you want to be able to get minutes for, and probably he'll be in the G League. Carlo Makovic's game offensively, he's just a more mature player from playing in overseas for that year. So his offensive game there, you've seen him early on. He was shooting the 3-pointers, got a nice touch shooting the 3, finishes really tough around the rim. He's not a 7-foot. I think Carlos like 6'10", somewhere in there, but moves extremely well.
We gonna round up Big Q.
Hmm?
We
You gonna
gonna
round?
round.
You gonna round up? Yeah. So I mean, yeah.
We
There
got
you go. There you go. So yeah, he might get an opportunity to play if that's the case. But like I said, they have 7-footers, and I don't, we'll see how it all looks because this could definitely change somewhere as we get closer to like December, and then you get December, January, and February with the trade deadline happening in early February. We'll
Mhm.
figure out what's going on with that whole thing with Brandon Ingram. But the Trey Murphy thing, we talked about that before. The extension from Trey Murphy, we know, and we've said this before. We said this last year about BI and all this. We've been saying this all the time. Well, all these guys are now just starting to mention this shit over and over again. We've been saying this. We said it last year that Brandon Ingram, the way they were being, him and the Pelicans, how they were behaving, that his time with the Pelicans was at an end. Prior to David Griffin saying it, when he made the commentary, you can't take everything he said but with a grain of salt. When he made mention of the fact that he's seen enough of, quote unquote, whatever, not verbatim, but the experiment that had the with BI and Zion, and it was time to do something different. It just didn't fulfill itself right now because they couldn't move him like to get the extra piece, so we can kind of jump ahead so we don't have this over our head right now. So it'll come to a head this year. But like I said, man, I just feel like this team is a very unique team. They got a lot of talent on this team. We just got to get them to that point. We got to keep Zion healthy. And another thing to talk about that I made mention of earlier, we made mention about the fragility of Zion Williamson playing. He played 70 games. We got Amy Atmore here. They added some more health staff. So hopefully we can continue the trend of keeping him healthy and him coming into camp in good pre-camp shape. The officiate. Now, there's no way to tell this, but the officiating on Zion Williamson last year was horrible. He was knocked down on his ass hard, didn't get a lot of these fouls. That's something that we'll have to keep an eye out too, is how is Zion Williamson going to be officiated this upcoming season? Because last year, that was horrible. He got beat up badly, couldn't get fouls. I don't know what the hell was going on, but I didn't like it. With him coming in here, a smaller Zion, a more fit Zion, I really don't want to see this, and that's a big, perhaps something we can't control right now. Maybe Willie Green open up his goddamn mouth a little bit more and complain to the league, because you don't want the guy to get hurt, lose some money. I know he won't do that. But at the end of the day, you got to fight for your players. So the officiating, let's just hit on that, Lex. And I know you ready to get, I see how you kind of propped up right there. I know you ready to go. So go ahead on. I'm going to give you the runway. You got it.
That's up.
Now, I seen what you did there. I see you. Oh, yeah, I'm ready now. Go ahead.
Well,
go ahead.
I mean,
Yeah.
that still bothers me when you say that, because he wants to keep his money in his pocket. But it'll be interesting to see how DeJounte Murray responds to that. You know what I'm saying? Because I really do think that he has that type of personality that he will get in the ref's face. You know what I'm saying? And have some words about that, like every single time, because that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Again, y'all all know that I'm about choosing violence, because as you can see, talking to the front office behind closed doors, sending emails, as Griff put it, you know what I'm saying? Or, all that nice politically correct type junk, that doesn't work for this team. It doesn't work. At some point in time, hey man, you gotta kind of get, okay, yeah, well, y'all weren't listening to the professional way, the diplomatic way, the courtesy way and all that stuff. So we gonna try another way. You know what I'm saying? And let me
Right.
tell you something. A lot of times that's what does it. Hey, when you look at what's his name? Like Phil Jackson. Okay, we know how calm, cool, and collected Phil Jackson is. But hey, when you piss that man off, he lets you know about it. And it looked really out of character. Sometimes you have to get out of character. We've seen Popovich do it. You know what I'm saying? We've seen coaches do that. And the thing is, they keep it together, be like, hey man, I gotta check you on this. Hey man, something wrong with these calls. And when a coach like that starts doing something, they start to listen. They start to listen. Now, obviously, Willie Green is content. He's not going to do that stuff. So, fortunately, and unfortunately, we have to rely on players that have that. Hey, dog. Hey, I'm about that. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something, and I'm gonna let you know about it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a problem. You all need to start making calls for Zion. You all need to start giving him the calls. He's a superstar. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
with all this clickbait that Zion be getting, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Dude, talk of the country. He always. You know what I'm saying? It's like y'all can't look. He's helping so many platforms out. You know what I'm saying? Look, y'all better start making some calls for him. There's too many of y'all making money off him. And if you don't believe me, hey, y'all let's have a 44-point loss against the Lakers again. Who they gonna be talking about? Y'all tell me in the chat who they gonna be talking about. I'm just saying. And everybody gonna jump on it. Everybody and their mama and their cousins and great grandmama, she's still in, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's gonna be jumping on that dude. Don't even watch Pelicans games, but everybody's gonna be jumping on Zion if something like that happens again. He's gonna be the talk of the town. So it's like, hey man, give that man some calls. He making a lot of people some bread right now. You know what I'm saying?
You know what, Lex? That's true. I mean, because when Zion first arrived, that was the feeling around the NBA, because the NBA looking for that next face of the league. I think Wembanyama's a guy that's one of those, but they have several of those guys. Zion Williamson could get those championship calls. He didn't get them last year. We thought he would have gotten them.
Superstar calls. You know what I'm saying?
The superstar calls, right?
Yeah.
So does he get them this year? Is the big thing that we'll just have to see. But you're absolutely right. They got to do a much better job in officiating. Zion Williamson and the Pelicans definitely got to make a big stink about it. You're right.
You see up in the chat though, we know what this is about though, because a lot of this is derived from who? Your backup. Your backup is your coach. Your coach is supposed to have your back. Your coach is supposed to have your back. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's no, like, when you're invested in the game emotionally, okay, just mentally, spiritually, if you want to put it that way, when you're invested in the game like that, man, you shouldn't be having no thoughts on, I want to keep my money in my pocket.
He did say that too.
He
said that shit.
I don't want to do all that. I don't want to get kicked out the game and all that other stuff. It's like, dog, then you just like you. So you have one foot in and one foot out. That's not good. That's not a good quality of a coach. That it really isn't.
I don't respect that.
I coach middle school boys, and one thing that, like, let anything happen.
Mm-hmm.
Anything happen. I look, everybody in that gym hears me. Everybody. I am going to say something. I'm going to say something. I'm their coach. You supposed to look to coach. Hey, coach. Hey, they really like tagging me and doing all this. Be like, hey man, I got you. You know why? Because my thing is, if I don't have my players back, how can I ask my players to play their butt off for me?
You can't and they won't.
You know what I'm saying? It's a trust factor. It's a relationship. I want them to play their butt off.
Right.
I want them to give me their all. Hey man, y'all go out there and y'all work hard. Run, get up and down that floor. Play with some energy. Play with that fire. Play with that it factor. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what helps, think like the relationship. That's what helps both sides coincide. You have the coach there for a reason. The players go out there, they execute the game plan of the coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that you're telling them and you're teaching them, they're supposed to go out there on the court and they're supposed to do it.
I mean, you speaking facts, Lex, because you're right. I mean, we can't rationally and logically ask players to do something for you and you're not really to go to bat on them, especially if you're a Willie Green. You got to go and have this conversation. You got to talk to the refs. And me personally, if I do feel like, man, if it'll bring some attention to the ill officiating of my superstar, I would rather do that and get thrown out the game in an attempt to show the players that I'm fighting for them, as opposed to you allow that to happen. He ultimately gets hurt because your inability to speak up for your players. That's not an endearing quality.
And you can speak up without just getting crazy with it. I mean, obviously you got to keep your head, but it's like, it has to be in you to want to do it. It's not something it shouldn't be, hey, a reporter has to check you. Hey man, why didn't you take up for Zion? Do you know how many reporters did that? And then the next game, he was like, look at what he's doing right now. That's what he would do. And it's like, you know what? That ain't even real to me. Because somebody on the post interview on the game before had to check you on the ref, the refs giving him hard fouls or not calling those hard fouls. Nobody should have to check you, especially a reporter. And then you have to prove, oh, well, I'm for my players. Dog, that's not real to me, because no one should ever have to check you. Why is it that every time you do this right here in this picture that you froze right here, why does somebody have to check you in order for you to do that?
I think Willie had it's, and I'm not making excuses for him, but he seems like the type of dude that shit got to build up for it to get here. He's just not going to fire at the first incident. He's not going to fire out just, it just seems like it has to be a build up, like that jar builds up until it overflows.
How much of a build up though?
I don't know, but that's just what I'm looking at. That's what I see. It takes a lot for him to get, because he didn't really do this a lot. This was like one time that he did it.
Yeah,
and this is based on many incidents occurring before he kind of overtopped his jaw, so to speak. It's a lot of build up, which I don't like that. I think he should. If Zion's getting beat, I was getting really pissed and upset when I was watching the games and watching Zion get knocked on the floor. Zion getting up with his hands like, what's going on? He fouled me. That type of stuff.
It's like he didn't have any backing. And that's one thing that I can appreciate about Najee Marshall, because I feel like Najee, you know what I'm saying? And Jose, you know what I'm saying? Like they would like feel a certain kind of way about that. You know what I'm saying? And say something.
Oh yeah, they'll fight for him. Yeah.
Players should do that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but at the same time, like, you don't want that load to be on your players that are out there playing. You know what I'm saying? You as a coach should take, hey man, let me do this. That's what I'm here for. Okay? It's like, hey, let me let the ref know about it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a different feel when it's coming from a coach compared to coming from a player who's out on the court or a player that's sitting on the bench.
Yeah, I mean that's something that we seen last year, but like I said, I'm watching this year, and I think I want to see some of the improvements. And Willie Green talked about like improving certain aspects of his game, getting better. That's we'll just have to see how it all goes and see what some of his philosophy and the ideas, how it can translate to success this year. We know with the first game coming up it's gonna be an interesting season. But I'm very much enthused. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I like a lot of the talent that we have, despite Trey Murphy's injury. I think we still have a deep team. We got to know how to use these guys in the correct way, and having Bi, Zion, and DeJounte, Herb, Jose with his new money. It's a cool feeling to see, man. Plus, we got some other guys I'm interested to see how they fit as well. Anyway, let's move. There's a few questions, Lex, before we get ready to head on out. First of all, thank all you guys for being in tonight's stream. Much love to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in the stream. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show. It helps us out. BP says when we do play Wemby or Zach Edey and other 7 foot and taller, what do you think the plan will be? I mean, we'll do defensively. Thank you, BP, for that question. Okay, what you think, Lex? You got big monster centers like Wemby or Edey, which you I can promise you one thing, BP. It won't be Zion guarding the ass. I promise you that much. I promise you that much. We're gonna have to stack centers if that's the case.
Hey,
Go ahead,
Big
Lex.
Q, is Willie Green on the panel right now?
No.
He's
We
not.
don't need him to answer this one. We got Lex
Are
and
you
me.
sure? Because isn't this a question for him? You know what I'm saying?
He wouldn't even answer that. He wouldn't answer that question.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
That's what Willie Green said.
But but the best you can do is try to put some of your, like I said, it's the center by committee approach, and it depends on what the active roster with the Pelicans do, because like I said, they got 2 7 foot centers. Well, Yves Misi, and you have Trey Jimerson, Carlos 6'10", 6'11", and then everybody else is not. So you have 3 guys that's around that size. And then, to be honest with you, Edey and Wemby, those guys are just massive center prospects. I mean, these are huge guys. So we were looking at getting Edey for Wemby, but ultimately Memphis jumped ahead. They did their thing with that. But man, what can I tell you, man? That's a tough cover for anybody.
Not just Edey, Edey and Triple J. You know what I'm saying? Because they both gonna be down there. Jump as high as you can.
I mean, it won't be Zion. I promise you that much.
I mean, Zion will be out there.
He won't be guarding them big old guys, man.
Okay, so I'm putting on my coach's lens and everything. So what I'm thinking is really to not allow them to get to the spots that they want to get to, especially not allowing them to go back door. Now, one thing I will say with Wemby is that he's got a great quarterback. That he'll be playing with. Huh?
Castle?
Okay. All right. Has he played an NBA game yet?
I don't know who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about. Chris Paul. Okay. We know how cold of a point guard he is. That dude,
he's so cold on ice.
Play that position. So he will be very, very clever in finding Wemby. I'm pretty sure that they're working on that right now. But, let's not knock CP's gift. He knows how to get the ball to where it needs to get to, but I think it'll be kind of tricky there because you have someone like him that, he's great at doing that, but definitely it's going to be kind of like a lot of hedging and holding. When they're getting into their spots, knowing when to play them, like, one-on-one, and when to kind of double in certain situations. Like if there's like a flare screen or backdoor cuts, like someone's going to have to come over and help. And then it's going to be timing. It's going to have to be timing. I know Herb, when he's playing on weak side, that's one thing that he's really good at doing, that hedge and that hold. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And the
Mhm.
timing of it. And really it's gonna be just being disciplined on defense and just having the timing right. I think it's gonna have more to do with that timing than anything. Um, and then with coupled with athleticism. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just making it hard, really making it hard for those passing lanes. So guys are gonna have to really have active hands. You're gonna have to have active hands, and you're gonna have to move your feet.
Yeah, and that's the thing about those big old guys, man. Massive centers, man. Big guys. They'll be difficult covers for any team, man. Even when those two teams match up against each other, that's going to be a difficult cover to see those big guys going at it. Going at it. 7'4" guys, all that kind of stuff. That's crazy. But yeah, like I said, the Pelicans, man. The small thing is Willie's. That's the idea. They think they can get a lot of success off, but if they need to go big, they do have the bigs to go big. If you know what I mean. Like I said, we're a versatile team here. Then ultimately, I think this is for a time until the BI situation ferrets itself out. And eventually, I think the Pelicans will have a suitor for BI. Perhaps right now, not right now, but at some point between December and February, you're gonna start hearing a lot of stuff kicking up for the
Mhm.
Pelicans, and so it begins coming up soon. All right,
And
Lex, go
I
ahead.
wanted to say one more thing.
Yes.
You're not gonna stop. You're not gonna stop, especially a guy like Wemby. You can't stop guys like him. Edie, depending on the situation, because obviously he's not on the forefront, but you also look at Ja, and I've actually peeked in on, some of their training, and
Mhm.
they're getting their two game together. He's
Yeah.
basically a younger version of Steven Adams, and they're gonna use
Yeah.
him like they use Steven Adams.
Yeah.
But he's more mobile. He's younger. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing that, helps them, because again, going to that back to that point guard position. Same thing with Wemby and Chris Paul. Ja ain't nothing to turn your nose up at. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
Because with him, he's more shiftier than Chris Paul. You know what I'm saying? He gets acrobatic in the air. He'll hold the ball in the air because he does have air time. So he'll probably wait till the last minute to like throw it up for a lob for Edie. You see what I'm saying? So it's different dynamics. You know what I'm saying? With Chris Paul, he's gonna outsmart you. He's gonna try to outsmart you. And then with Ja, it's more so, get more acrobatic. You have a whole lot to worry about with, because his torque and you know what I'm saying? All that stuff that he does, it's kind of hard to anticipate. So then that's when you look at DeJounte and Herb. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, slow that guy down. Because
Yep.
he's really shifty. But you just got to slow these guys down and kind of hope that, you get enough stops and you capitalize on those stops at the other end of the floor.
Yeah, and yeah, it's gonna be a tough cover. Memphis is gonna be a difficult team, man. Because of all of the losing they did, all of the injuries that happened last year, those guys are motivated to get back to winning.
They gonna be playing with a chip on their shoulder.
Oh yeah, they
And that's
no
why
doubt.
I keep saying I hope the Pelicans got that same chip, because it's like y'all been going through a whole lot more than Memphis has. I mean, Memphis has, before this last season, they were going to the playoffs.
Yeah, they
Every
had 1,000 injuries happened to the
yeah,
people last year.
yeah,
They were
the whole starting lineup, got taken out. But they're definitely coming in, because everybody got their 2 cents on them. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Whooped them up. And so it's like, all right, it's payback time. But the Pelicans need to have that, because it's like, man, y'all been through a whole lot more than they have. You know what I'm saying? Don't let that chip be more meaningful to them than, that chip being, meaningful to, the Pelicans. So they need to come with it. They need to come with it.
Yeah, and that's the exciting part about the about the season, man. Starting off the Pelicans, man, and have the team. We're not in a very easy. I mean, if you look at where we are in the Southwest, it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, which is cool. I like that. We have, some very difficult teams we have to deal with there. Coming out there, we got the Houstons, Dallas, who was in the finals. We have Memphis, who getting all their guys back. We got Houston, which should be pretty good, and we have to be able to fight these guys and get there, man. So very difficult in the Southwest Division, man, to be able to make a stand and kind of do what we got to do there, man. So like I said, Pelicans got a good opportunity, man. Dallas, Houston, who else we got there? Dallas, Houston, I'm forgetting somebody. It doesn't matter. It don't matter. Whoever it is, it don't matter. Anyway, let's keep it pushing and moving along, man. Let's keep it moving. All right. Big ups to the fam. Appreciate y'all being here. Pelicans Nola has a question. Thank you, Pelicans Nola. Can we win an NBA championship? That is the question. So that was a good question. Shout out to Pelicans Nola. Can we win a NBA championship? Lex, you want to answer this, and I'll answer it after you do.
Theoretically. What, you talking about this year? Are you talking about ever?
Hey, I'm talking about, I'm only caring about this year right now. I mean, can we win a championship this year?
You always got to be specific in those questions. It's like you got to be specific in your prayers. Anyway, it's a possibility, but I'm keep it all the way funky. I feel like Willie Green's coaching can only take this team so far. I don't think he has the creativity or the imagination to help the team get to where they're doing, even with the talent. Because even with having talent, you still have to have a mastermind at the helm. You got to. Not only that, like, obviously the fact that they're, not having the starting center and things. And I know there's been a lot of talk about that, but that's one thing that I told you earlier, Big Q, that I was concerned about. I'm not concerned about the center position in regular season. Where I start getting concerned is the playoffs. If we're talking about the playoffs last season, if you look at, with the exceptions of Boston, because Boston, the way that their team is designed, they're solid in a lot of different areas. But one thing that I noticed about the playoffs is that the team that imposed their will in the front court the most, that's who won that series.
That's right.
That's who won the series. And so I'm looking at that and I'm like, Zion is cold. Zion is very cold. But, when you look at Jokic, you know what the T-Wolves did to him? They threw a lot of bodies at him. They threw a lot of bodies at him. And that's how they obviously there was other things because they had a more balanced attack. And you had some guys that weren't on as they like Caldwell Pope. He wasn't on like he usually was. But what is his name? Kevin Porter Jr.
Michael Porter.
Michael. I'm sorry. You know what I'm talking about.
I got you.
I got you. But yeah, he wasn't as effective. He wasn't effective on both ends. He really wasn't effective. So, it made it easier for them to have that type of attack on Jokic. And that's what I look at in the same situation because Zion has the most gravity on this team.
True.
He's the most dominant player on this team. So the thing is that everybody knows that. So it's like, hey man, we got to make him feel us like, you know what I'm saying? Put size on him. I know that they're going to do that. They're going to put size on him. And what they're going to do, hey, give him a little bit of cushion. Give him a little bit of cushion. You know what I'm saying? Have that hand out. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. And I think that's where his jumper is probably going to become more lethal when they start doing that. And then, but I don't know. It may depend on Zion, man. How much can he carry? I mean, first he's got to get to the playoffs, obviously, and play in it. But it'll be interesting to see that, because that we've yet to see it. We've yet to see it. So
right. I mean, it's interesting, man. I would have to say, it's in terms of Pelicans winning the championship, man, a lot of things would have to happen. Number one, Zion Williamson would have to play the bulk of the season into the playoffs. The Pelicans, the trade of Brandon Ingram that ultimately should happen prior to the trade deadline should have an impact on the team insofar as whoever they get has to be the right piece to go along with what they have to kind of accentuate that leap, to have more of that presence that Zion is. And having Trey and all those other guys and DeJounte, all those guys there, I think they can win the championship. Will they? It all depends on the health of Zion Williamson, definitely the coaching leap. There has to be a coaching leap in intelligence and scheme as far as Willie Green is concerned. There have to be a Willie Green that we haven't seen before. Like he has that leap, like, man, Willie, the switch done turned on for him, that type of stuff. And the team has to be playing up, has to be healthy and playing to the identity that's established. And if they can do that, man, they'll force that. And a lot of people don't want to deal with. Them people can't deal with Zion Williamson and the sharp shooting of the Pelicans, especially if we got Jordan Hawkins involved. Trey Murphy shooting the ball. We have everything in their proper perspective. Everybody's healthy. DeJounte's doing his general thing out there. Herb's there. The Pelicans is a deep team. They got a lot of talent. So Zion's health is a big part of it. Getting into the playoffs and staying healthy. Wherever they do with BI in terms of the trade, have to get a piece that accentuates the roster around Zion Williamson. And the third component is we have to see a Willie Green leap in terms of his coaching acumen going forward. If those three things happen, man, damn right, you can see the Pelicans in the finals. You can see them there. You could see them going, but you going to get some of the best, because if you get there, you're going to be going up against the Bostons and all these other teams who are living their identity, and you would have to beat them at their game. That's a whole nother thing. It's a chess match when you get to that high echelon, when you go against those guys.
Some people are chess masters.
But but at the end of the day, like we've seen Willie Green's team beat other coaches that he's better than during the regular season. We all know that changes in the playoffs. When you get to the playoffs, man, that it goes up a level. And that's also tied to an experience thing too, because you got teams that have been there multiple years and haven't won it. And eventually they finally got the experience to know what it's like. And then they go forward. You know what I'm saying? Look what happened with Denver. Denver was there year after year before they finally were able to take the step. I don't know if the Pelicans bogart straight into the finals like that. They have to get used to being in the playoff style environment and understand what that feels like. And like I said, it's a lot of stuff, man. But it is possible. Is it reality going to happen this year? We'll see, man. We'll see. But it's a lot of stuff you got to do. All that shit I just said, and I'm not going to repeat it. So there you go.
You know what? I think it would have been more feasible to ask, can the Pelicans get out of the first round?
Can they get out of the first round?
Yeah, the first round. Because that's what
the first round of the play-ins.
No, they better not be no playing team. They better not be no play. Man, no, the Pelicans done their time. Yeah,
You ain't never lying. They definitely did that.
You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of the play-in. No, because the thing is, last season they didn't have to be in the play-in. They didn't have to be in the play-in. They could have solidified being in that top 6. I ain't trying to hear that. I am not trying to hear that.
Where they
I don't know about y'all, but
they had the 0-20. What was it? 0-22. situation that occurred. And like we talked about, how did they rectify the situation? Did they learn from, that? Because obviously that was horrible. And they obviously didn't have the answer on that during the year. But this year, a lot of what they were saying, and they mentioned this, that type of situation happening in the heated moments of the games, they lacked a floor generalship. So with DeJounte being that guy there, we've talked about this. At least half of those, at least 10 of those games, let's say, you get, if that's the case, you're a 59 win team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, DeJounte's got to count for something.
Yeah. And
Go
then
ahead, Lex.
you have to think all those double-digit leads that were lost. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right.
It's not just in the clutch, but the double-digit leads. We were up by a lot. And teams came back and beat them. It's like, dog, for real? Like, what happened? What happened?
Right.
So, I mean, yeah,
what's the thought, Lex, with some of the losses there? Like, you'll see the Pelicans have the game, then the game falls from just a catastrophic failure, and then you'll see the melancholy energy that I would see of Brandon Ingram walking off there. This melancholy, weak energy that I was not happy with. I'm like, man, it at times made me question not only the intelligence of the Pelicans last year, but also the heart, especially what happened later on in the year last year when the Pelicans were road warriors. And then toward the back of the schedule, they started to fall apart. Toward the back. And so, I don't expect DeJounte Murray to fix a lot of that. But if you have DeJounte's and Herbs and Jose's and the guys like that you bring on the team to kind of instill that toughness and IQ, that's a big part of it. He helps there. But man, like I said, I don't want to see that next year. Like, the Pelicans just literally fell apart. Now, they had some injuries. We know BI was banged up. Like we talked about, usually take BI anywhere between 8 to 10 games before you start seeing him look like himself. They talked about his knee during the presser. He said the knee was all right and all this kind of stuff. But you can see when he bent down, he's a big dude. When he sat down in that chair, and when he got up, he kind of made it like, he kind of got up like a little discomfort there. But we seen the tape at the presser when he run around shooting the ball, he looks comfortable. So I don't want to see that next year. I don't want to see low IQ basketball. I don't want to see the heartlessness, like this weak ass shit, like even Draymond Green disrespect the Pelicans. We can't have that. People got to speak the hell up. If Draymond opened his mouth, or any of these other guys like Jimmy Butler open their mouth about the Pelicans, somebody got to respond, man. You can't let them get away with this. The Pelicans are a soft team. They playing good. Just go over there and push them and be physical with them. That'll knock them and jolt them all out of their game. We can't have that this year.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's something we got to deal with. Go ahead, Lex.
Oh no, I mean, that's just, that's one thing that hurt us last season. A lot of teams started getting physical with the Pelicans.
Yeah.
They figured the Pelicans out. Like, hey man, you just give them a love tap, as Shaquille O'Neal would put it. You know what I'm saying? That rattles them. And so that'll be interesting to see how they handle that this year, because Dallas did it. They started that. And from those, I think the back-to-back Dallas games in Dallas,
mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, that's when they did that. And it kind of had a ripple effect for all the other teams that gave them the blueprint.
Right.
Oh, shoot, we just need to get physical with them. Look at these little tall, slinky things. You know what I'm saying? So, we got to have more backbone, man. We got to have more backbone. But the play-in, and not just the play-in, but the fact that the Pels have been a borderline play-in team. That's the thing that pisses me off the most.
Mm-hmm.
The Pelicans are barely in the play-in, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Are you serious? Why are we 1 foot in, 1 foot out? You know what I'm saying? That's not hot, man. That's no. We want to be solidified in one of them playoff spots. Okay? That's the first thing. And then get out the first round. I know this one thing. Them chicken heads, man, y'all better not get sweat. Y'all better not get sweat, man. Man, I have some fight. You gotta have some fight, man. You gotta, I don't know, just something. More effort, more energy. But it seemed like even just watching them in the playoffs, I didn't feel like they gave anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like y'all at least give yourself a chance. Because
Yeah,
the first game, that first game against
that should have been a win.
best game.
That should have been a win.
OKC wasn't even playing their best.
Nope. There was
Because
rusty
they
as hell.
usually make they outside shots.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
So
But that was the best game the Pelicans played because they didn't get no better.
so a Pelican season should be a successful Pelican season this year, at the very least, should be quantified as a second round appearance in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's feasible. I think that's feasible. And not just getting to the second round. Like, if you don't win the second series, man, win some games.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Make it
Yeah, you got to build some
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, yeah, we heard, man. Make your presence felt. No, it's not like you get to the second round like, oh yeah, we've been here before. No, dog, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. This group hasn't. This group has not been there. So y'all need to play like y'all ain't never been there, and you want some more. That should fuel you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Zion has never been there. That's the big point.
He hasn't been to the playoffs, period. So
right.
I know he's gonna feel it. I ain't worried about Zion. You know what I'm saying? I really am not, because I feel like when, just like he performed against in that Lakers game, man, I feel like he's already gonna know what time it is, because his career depends on it. You know what I'm saying? I say all the time, the playoffs is where you get your credibility, where you build your legacy, where you build your brand, like at a higher level. You know what I'm saying? Like that's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, man. Look, when you talk about the GOAT debate, what's the first thing people be bringing up? How many championships? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the standard.
You know what I'm saying? That's how. Like, what did you do in the playoffs?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what people are asking. When you talk about Hall of Fame, being on the 75th roster. You know what I'm saying? What are people talking about?
Yeah, that's interesting, Lex, because with all that we've seen from Zion Williamson, we've seen a lot of Zion Williamson, but one thing we haven't seen is playoff Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
That we've never seen that. Perhaps this is a year where the Pelicans have a deep enough team where we can finally see Zion, a playoff Zion, all the stuff we've seen Zion Williamson do or not do. One of the biggest things is we never seen him in the playoffs. We need to remedy that this year. And the final question, Lex, I'm going to just toss this up to you. Do you think they're planning on replacing Willie with Borrego, even if they're doing okay? I don't know about him as a coach, but I really like Willie. Thank you, BP. Lex, that one's for you. You want me to give you the flow, Lex? You want the center stage?
Oh, goodness gracious. You know what? I mean,
no, you want center stage? No.
No. I mean, I don't shy away.
Okay.
Look,
hold on, Lex. Lex. Let me give you center stage here.
I was gonna get into it. What's going on?
Okay, here we're gonna put you on center stage, Lex.
Oh man, what? No, don't do that, man. Don't do that. Don't you?
Oh man!
Don't you do that, man?
All right, Lex, go
Why you
ahead.
do
Go ahead.
that? Why you got to do that, huh?
I want everybody to have the attention centered on you. So they can
No,
hear
I
you.
mean it can be on both of them. I don't mind sharing spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can have some of this
I
energy.
said,
You know,
"Oh man!"
shoot. You know what I'm saying? Look, I
Uh,
don't, I don't got my stuff, and you know what I'm saying. What?
go ahead, Lex. You
I
got
mean,
it,
I
baby.
don't
You
do
got
all
it.
the lashes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? We most days on the stream we strictly like all natural and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, what was I saying? Do you think
She always forgets every time I do that. She forgets every time.
I think that's a tactic. You know what I'm saying? That's wrong, man. That's wrong. That's wrong.
Now, the question is on screen. Do you think they're
Okay.
planning on replacing Willie with Borrego, even if they're doing okay? I don't know about him as a coach, but I really like Willie. BP likes Willie. Shout out
Yeah,
to BP.
yeah, this is kind of tricky because really it depends on it depends on what the goal is for the team. It really does. I feel like, Willie is on the hot seat to really do well. But I also think, hey, like, especially now that you have a point guard in DeJounte, you have a guy who can really perform well in the clutch. Um, Even though I feel like, with Zion, they could perform in the clutch. They just didn't use him correctly. But that has a lot to do with the coaching. So in a way, I kind of feel like, yeah, there's a high probability that they will do that if they don't like the results, because I mean, it's like, you have this talent, and at this point it's about being able to put this talent together and getting the most out of these guys. You got to maximize at a bigger level, at a larger level. But again, that goes back to what's the goal of the team. No, because I kind of feel like everybody talks about the win percentage of Willie Green going up every year, right? It's like
That's
that's
right.
cool, but when it comes to the playoff realm, the Pelicans have been a borderline, playing team. So it's like, how are you measuring the success of the season? Are you measuring it for regular season, or are you measuring it for playoffs? You know what I'm saying? And I think it's like you also have to look at the way that they're playing. We saw we saw the way the Pelicans were playing on last season. We saw it. Like, a lot of times the identity was it was up and down. They played like so many different ways. They never mastered a way of playing. They never established a strong way of playing. And so I mean, we got to know how they're going to play, like, from the start. And I think it'll be a whole lot stronger, but it's got to be consistent. We know they struggle with that C word. They struggle with that all the time. Being able to have a feel for the game was a problem. That was a huge problem. And a lot of times, the wrong decision was made, coaching decision. It wasn't necessarily because, oh, y'all don't have a point guard. No, it was just the coach made the wrong decision. And there was a lot of that, whether it be rotations or situations, having the wrong person guard someone. I don't know. The time that the Pelicans played Houston, you know what I'm saying? They had Dylan Brooks on Brandon. And obviously it showed that Brandon was having problems with Dylan Brooks. And they had Zion in the corner. You know what I'm saying? And that was the whole strategy. They kept going to that same play that was not working. And things like that, you can't have that. You got to understand, hey, this isn't working. Let's do something else. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? and that's having a feel for the game. So when you look at the feel for the game, that's yet to be seen. But I truly do believe that it's a possibility. If things are not going well, if they're barely winning, or they're still losing close games, definitely Borrego's coming.
Yeah, I listen. Like I've said before, man. Like Willie or not, for the year number 4, he won 49 games. It's been a step increase, but with all the talent that he has, this team has to push far, man. And Willie Green, like I said, man, the Pelicans have extended him with the secret contract him and Griffin gave him. But whatever, if it fails, it falls strictly on the shoulders of Willie Green. That's how they designed it. The old octopus got it all set up. Trajan Langdon's gone. You can't put it on Bryce Graham. He won't let it fall on him. It'll fall squarely on the coach. And Willie Green got to do the best job that he's done since he's been here in coaching. And he said in one of the press conferences that he has to rely, that he'll be, that he has to rely and listen to his coaching staff more. And I think that'll help him, because he was stubborn as hell in many of these games last year. And if Borrego came back, he had a couple of job opportunities he didn't like. Borrego came back here. And listen, if Willie fails and the octopus puts him under, Borrego could step in here, man. A lot of people don't see Borrego as a total coach, but man, listen, all I can see is what I saw, and the way they looked in that first Dallas matchup. It's crazy because it was such a perfect comparison to see the way they looked when Willie coached them against Dallas. And then the next game, Willie got sick and Borrego got in there and they looked totally different. And matter of fact, it was such a pivotal moment for the Pelicans in terms of their play style, because we were asking, if you go back and watch the shows prior to when Borrego got in there and coached that game, we kept asking the question, where is Borrego's offense at? Where's the offense that we've been promised about it? We was asking that over and over again, and then when Borrego got in there when Willie was sick, you seen they were flowing, they were playing good, they were shooting the ball. They just ran Dallas. They ran Dallas out of the building, and it carried on. It carried on. Go ahead, Lex.
No, I was just adding on, like, that's what he said after that game.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, speed and violence. All right, bring it in, guys. 1, 2, 3, team. You know what I'm saying?
That's the identity, the true identity of the team.
The speech. That was the speech. I'm like, oh my goodness, I felt that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was beautiful. Be like, dog, you use my word. You use my word. I like speed too, but violence. And they played like it too, man. I don't know if y'all remember that game. They played.
Hell yeah, I remember. That was a pivotal. Let me see if I can find that speech, Lex. Let me see if I can find that speech he said too.
And that was beautiful. I was like, man, that's the type of basketball I like, man. You hear me? That's great. That's how you compete.
Yeah, because the moment, because it was the after the game ended, from what Borrego did in that game, a lot of that carried on. Like, that offensive identity was so glaring, it stuffed with the team through the rest of the year. And it was just phenomenal, man. It was very obvious and clear what happened, because we were asking the damn question, where's this famous Borrego offense at? And
everything just flowed, man. I mean, the flow and the vibe of the game, it's like everybody knew knew their role. You know what I'm saying? The ball was movement. There was player movement. I mean, the energy was it was contagious. It was positive energy and it was contagious, and everybody was getting some of it. I mean, it was just nice. And one thing, because you missed this part, Jason Kidd, man, I heard Willie's gonna be out. So, because he talked to Antonio Daniels. Antonio Daniels told this. And he said on there, I was like, yeah, Borrego, he's gonna be coaching. And he was like, oh shoot. Jason Kidd was concerned. he was concerned. He was like, oh shoot, we got problems. He already knew what was up. He already knew what was up. And he was like, man, we gonna be in for a long one. He knew this before the game even started. Now, if that doesn't tell you a whole lot, I don't know what does. Because nobody's saying that about Willie. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, Willie.
Nobody's shaking in their boots,
Nah.
because of Willie's coaching. You know
Nah,
what I'm saying?
the coaches know. Matter of fact, if you look at this clip we got here, you can see James Borrego is, coaching them up. You can see Willie off to the right just watching him.
Oh, did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Borrego getting animated in practice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard
Had to
about it.
hold him back.
Yeah.
I'm like, violence. Yes.
I think you got a glimpse of the true identity of the team when Borrego, because that's the style they really want to play with,
man.
was the violence. And you got the players for it. I mean, you got them. You can't have this milk toast mentality about he has team concepts, and no disrespect, but where's the toughness there? We need a tough mentality when teams are referring to you as soft, and people are, ex-players are disrespecting your organization. That's problematic.
Draymond was consistent all season. You know what I'm saying? Just you know what I'm saying? Just talking very low as far, you know what I'm saying, with the Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like stuff like that, you got to have a problem with that. You have to have a problem with that. You can't just let something, especially, I'm not a man, but as a man, you can't, you got to send a message. You got to send a message. I mean, man, you like Jordan and and I took that personal. You know what I'm saying? It literally has to be like that. I'd love for the team to really embrace that and be like, and have that chip like, okay, all right, so this dude want to talk. Yeah, we about to take it out on the whole league. Do it. We ready. The fans are ready.
Yeah, it's time to go, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's time to step this shit up, man. We won't see some good basketball here. I mean, championship level basketball. We ain't gonna get it being soft and playing this milk toast crap. We got to get tougher. And because anytime a team, they believe that all you have to do is just rough them up a little bit, that throws them out of the game. That ain't gonna fly. That type of team ain't gonna make it into the playoffs. That ain't gonna work. That ain't no playoff team, because that's all they do in the playoffs is get physical with you. Yeah. And the referees is not gonna bail you out, so that ain't gonna fly if you're a playoff team. So that has to change right off the bat. But anyway, speaking of the family, appreciate y'all for being in the stream. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feeds. Shout out to the fam that participated in the poll. Who do you think will start Monday night at the 2 guard? And we got 2 selections, Herb and CJ. 67% of the family members said it'll be Herb versus 33% saying it's CJ. So a lot of people believe the preseason matchup that is Monday at 12:30, I want to say. 12:30 tip-off time. Let me make sure I get that straight for the flock. So they will know.
NBA TV?
I'm not certain. No, it's that. No, the second game is on NBA TV. Lex, the first one, I think that's going to be on Gray and the rest of them. But you probably would be able to find it on NBA TV. Or your app. I mean, your app.
Yeah.
I don't see it yet, but you'll be able to see it on League Pass. But in terms of it being a broadcast game for NBA TV, that's the second matchup, which will be Friday. So that's kind of weird. They got this Monday at 12:30. It's 12:30 tip-off time on Monday. And of course, the Saints play later on that afternoon. So it's a 12:30 tip-off time in the Smoothie King Center. And the next game the Pelicans play, the second preseason game, is not until Friday. So, basically a business week, for the Pelicans play the next time around. And that game will be in Orlando on NBA TV, followed by Miami, which will be 2 days later. And then 2 days after that, Houston. Very weird. The first home game is like a week between the next game. So that's kind of strange, but
yeah.
Hey.
It is because they've already started playing some teams, which
Yeah,
I didn't realize, preseason was going to start that early. I thought everybody had at least a week. Some teams didn't even get a week to, to train and stuff. It's almost basically like, look, y'all better be in shape. You know what I'm saying? Like all the way in shape. It's like, look, because you don't even got a week.
no, but they got that first game in the Smoothie King Center. Then shit until Friday, from Monday to Friday before they get a chance. And then every other game is 2 days after that, and that's going to be over really quick too. Once Friday hit, October the 11th, then the 13th, then the 15th, and by Tuesday night, preseason over with, and then we'll be done with this, and then looking at the regular season coming up as the Pelicans start the new season off, man. So yeah, this is going to happen pretty quick. So just interesting. It's going to be fun. Go ahead, Lex. Do you need the floor?
You are so crazy. Why you want to give me the floor?
I just said this sounds important. I wanted to make sure you.
Look, what's going on with you, Big Q? What's
I'm
going
just.
on? You've never
I'm
done
being.
this before.
I'm being cordial.
Uh-huh.
I can't give DC the floor because he never wanted to turn his damn camera on. He's afraid we'll see all of the lima beans and the guitars and all that shit. I told him I ain't worrying about all that, brother. You all right?
Well, you got him playing that one thing with his toes and the guitar.
Oh, he was cutting it up. He was cutting it up. Yeah, he was cutting it up.
And the whistling.
He's a musician, man. My dog DC is very talented.
Okay, so my question is, who is going to be subbed out first?
Who's going to be subbed out first in the game?
In the game. Because I know this one thing. It better not be Zion. It better not be Zion.
You want to say
I'm about to throw something at my television if it's Zion. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can put that in the chat too. Who do you think is going to be subbed out?
Yeah, Jacob says whoever at center. So I would agree. I would think it's Tice. I would say Tice would be first subbed out because he's supposed to only play 15 to 20 minutes if they sticking to that. So I would say Tice. And by the way, there's no restrictions on Zion, by the way.
But I think depending on who's starting as far as Herb or CJ, okay, or Brandon, whoever you want to say, like it might be one of them. You know what I'm saying?
So are you thinking it'll be either Tice or CJ is who you're thinking about?
Yeah, if CJ is on the bench.
So you're thinking
it could possibly be Herb. You know what I'm saying? You know, politics be playing up in this stuff, man.
Well, didn't BI let it slip? He let it slip to the media that they were the start. They didn't want him to tell him who the starting five is, but BI was kind of let it slip that CJ was in the lineup. So
these dudes are not.
We'll see. Well, like Willie said, we'll see what it looks like. But
you know what though? I just want to say this. I would definitely feel a certain kind of way if I got first team all defense and the next season I'm coming off the bench. I mean, if you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Well, listen, if you see that, you know,
I mean,
that don't even sound like Willie because Willie will play the defensive guy first and he loves Herb Jones. So you know whose call that is.
Tricky because CJ has the politics, but you know, Herb
the contract
has
too.
the defensive prowess.
Yes.
Yeah, and the contract.
But Herb fits Willie's system. He loves Herb. So if it is CJ, then it is definitely politics and it's economics.
Yeah,
which ties itself to the octopus.
Because the thing is, if you look at it the right way, Herb, he's younger. He moves without the ball. He's a strong defensive player. He guards the best player on the other team.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying? And really, I don't know the largest accolade. I mean, I know he's the president of the Players Association, but as far as within basketball, Herb has the highest accolade, you know, between him and CJ, because CJ's never been an all-star. He's never been no defensive player all team anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's
You get paid like all-star.
yeah, he does. He does. Ain't that crazy, y'all? Ain't that crazy? He really does. But he's never won any, you know what I'm saying?
You tell you that. You get paid like all-star. That
Yeah,
what
he
he tell you.
does. But I just think that's really something to think about, because the thing is, I think it's more with CJ, it's more so business and politics, and with Herb, it's he's the better fit. He belongs in the starting lineup. He fulfills everything that this team needs as far as really really building that foundation, as far as, you know, putting that winning team, putting the best players out there that help you win. Not to say that CJ doesn't, because when he's playing that 2 guard position like he does, you know, he contributes to winning. But with Herb, I just feel like it's more of a two-way thing. His fit is just better in the lineup. And
Yeah,
CJ,
absolutely.
he has the opportunity to do that one-on-one stuff, to go off, to do what he would like to do, to get his shine on. I think he would really capitalize off of that, but he, you know, he's not going to volunteer. If you let him tell it, he ain't
You
volunteering.
gotta. Well, I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like I said, Willie Green, we know Willie. Um, if it's his philosophy, it takes defense to get you on the floor. Willie Green, that should be Herb Jones and DeJounte Murray in the backcourt. If CJ is there, we know it's politics that ties to the octopus. It's economics.
Massaging the ego.
It's economics. It ties to the octopus. I don't think it's massaging ego. I think that the octopus doesn't want to have a guy that's making 30 plus million, 33 in the third coming up off the bench.
Well,
That's octopus. I don't think Willie
hey,
Green gets a damn. He gonna play Herb Jones.
look,
I would play Herb Jones over because it's a
Brother
better
Griff,
backcourt.
Brother Griff, then you need to do your job. You know what I'm saying? And
That guy ain't no
look,
coach,
look,
Lex.
look, making one move for DeJounte was not it, buddy. It was not it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if that's how you feel, because then you have to look at the direction, the vision, and what's best for the team. What are you doing? What are the Pelicans doing? What's the goal here? You know, I mean, but he's kind of put the team in that type of position. Got to make decisions, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to make decisions. You can't, I mean, because look at the decision now, or excuse me, look at the situation now. You know, you got to do something with Brandon. You know what I'm saying? You got it. Basically, you got to choose between Brandon and Trey. You know what I'm saying? Like, these questions have to be answered. And the thing is, it's being drug out. It's just being dragged out.
Well, well, the Brandon Ingram thing, that kind of, like you said earlier, it took care of itself with Trey Murphy, because Trey is out on injury right now.
Yeah.
And Brandon Ingram will play, and ultimately the Pelicans will ultimately end up trading him between December and February if everything pans out correctly. CJ McCollum, I don't see CJ McCollum going anywhere right now. Maybe later on, he still got $30 plus million on the $60 plus million over the next couple of years. I don't see a lot of people beating the Pelicans' door down trying to acquire CJ McCollum right now. And it's still the fact that you have Trey Murphy's, extension coming up. So the Pelicans have to get ready for the future. And BI is not a part of the future. This team needs this CJ McCollum.
It's a 3-ring circus, man.
It's what it is right now.
Because everybody, the fact that it's all affecting everybody's like situation. You know what I'm saying? And I keep going back to that interview on Media Day for Trey Murphy. Did y'all see his face, man?
Yeah.
I mean, he was man, his face was stiff and firm and stern. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I feel like, I'm a starter in this league. That's the first thing he said. So I feel like I'm a starter for this team. Hey, he said a lot of things that were just straightforward, man. And I like that. I like that because it's
Yeah.
like, hey, you all know that I want to be a starter.
I
I
mean,
feel like I deserve to start. That
mean,
means you need to
yeah.
make a move to allow me to start. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, just starting every time somebody gets injured, it's like, come on, dog. I mean, for real. I mean, so that's what look, you're our backup starter. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna feel that starter position if somebody gets hurt. That's the only time you can start. I mean, after doing that for so long, how would you feel about that?
It wouldn't be a good thing because I mean the reality is the Pelicans drafted Trey Murphy, Jordan Hawkins, guys like that. They drafted these guys, got them ready to be NBA solid contributors
Mhm.
for a reason. Like you have a timeline you operate on. You can't muddle the timeline up. You had a plan. You can't just throw the plan out. The plan was you put Brandon Ingram with Zion Williamson for a certain period of time and see what fruit it bears. Didn't bear the kind of fruit that you wanted. Just
Yeah.
throw it out, get rid of it, and go to the next one. The fallback option is Trey Murphy. The third, you have Jordan Hawkins. These are homegrown guys that you drafted and brung up. These guys, you brung them on. You got shooters to go around your big pieces, Zion Williamson. That's the game plan moving forward. It's not we can't get attached to Brandon Ingram. This is business.
Yeah.
This is business. So he doesn't fit the new timeline. That was the plan. The plan was to see what these guys look like, and then if they don't do what you want them to do, which is get into the playoffs and compete regularly, which they didn't, you got to break them up. You're not going to get rid of Zion. So BI is the other guy. You're not going to pay him the money, so you got to seek a trade and see if you can get fair value to the best of your ability for him in time. And then you bring Trey Murphy, Jordan Hawkins, and these young guys along and groom them into being starters, and that's what Trey Murphy is. When they took Trey Murphy back in the 21 draft, they didn't take him with the option of being a role player. They knew Trey Murphy was good enough to be a solid NBA starter.
Because he was number like 15 or 16?
17.
17? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I thought I was on one of them. But I mean, shoot. And shoot, yeah. Because Herb was in the second round.
Right. But that's what I'm saying about the plan. People like, man, Q, I don't know if people heard the plan or not. Are they butting against the plan? They made a plan. This whole damn thing was a plan. And they adjusted the plan, but there is no adjustment for Brandon Ingram, and you got Trey Murphy sitting there. They know what Trey Murphy could be and what he means to the team, same as Jordan Hawkins. So Brandon Ingram's here for a certain period of time. He's reached the time limit. The only reason why he's still on staff right now is because of his contract demands and the fact that the Pelicans couldn't find a possible suitor for him. So it's a mixture of it. So they have an uncomfortable alliance right now. So eventually, between now and then, when we probably December and February, the Pelicans going to get off him. But that was the plan. We talked about that ad nauseum over all these years. What the plan is, what the plan is for Trey, what the plan is for some of these other guys. It wasn't no secret. And even Griffin said it at the end of last year when he says we've seen enough because the timeline had in it. They're not going to pay Brandon Ingram that kind of money. And that's what it is. They can't pay Brandon Ingram and play Trey Murphy. Somebody got to go. So Brandon Ingram, as good as he is right now, the team is about Zion Williamson, regardless of how many games he played, regardless of whatever the case is. They're putting all their chips to the table for Zion Williamson, not Brandon Ingram. This is supposed to be Zion's team, even though they are unwilling to admit that. But we know whose team it is. It's Zion's team. That's why you have all these shooters around him, and that's the point. The point is he's the guy that they want to move into the future with, not Brandon Ingram, despite all the bullshit that Griffin says. We're trying to appease him. I think he's happy about being here. You look at Brandon Ingram. Only thing that's going to make him happy is him getting his paper. He's happy playing and he's making good money, but he wants the max contract. Pelicans are not going to give you that. So hasta la vista, appreciate you for your contribution. This is a business arrangement. We got to keep it pushing. Ain't no personal attachment right here. We got love for you. We thank you. But if the team not going to pay you and we got a younger piece in Trey Murphy that fits better with the guy they believe is the center of the team, then we good with that. Let's keep this going, get Zion healthy, and move it forward. Lex, last thoughts on that.
Right on, brother. I'm sorry.
Lex, you want me to give you the floor for that one? You want to put to the Black
But
Power
this
fist?
team will be great with Ingram, and he will no longer be the scapegoat for Zion's sin of gluttony.
Man, they're not gonna keep the man, brother. Y'all need to let go, man. I like BI too, but that's not
Yeah.
in the plan. They don't it's business, man. They're not gonna pay the man $50 million, man. They're not gonna give him $45 million. They can't pay him and Trey Murphy, so you're gonna pay Brandon Ingram and keep him here so and then let Trey Murphy walk. Man, come on, man. That's not the plan. The plan was always to have Trey Murphy over BI after the deadline ends, the timeline. That's their damn plan, man. They're not going to rewrite that plan, man, and it's not going to happen.
Just to let y'all know, the Pelicans, because he represents the Pelicans in a strong way, but Griff has been really delayed in all his trials, with this team. You know what I'm saying? Henceforth, that's why he's in the situation that he is in now. That's why. He's made some poor financial decisions, okay, which includes the hiring of Willie Green, okay? You can watch some of the streams like way before where we talked about that. But a lot of the things that are going on now that we're running into as far as the with some players being in between a rock and a hard place is because of Griff. Because he's not making decisions quick enough. He's not being efficient and being decisive with his decision making. And so what that's doing is that's holding up the like guys like Trey Murphy. That's holding up guys like him. Like all this stuff is a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect. It affects something. It's affecting something. With Brandon's contract, if they even attempted to give Brandon that contract, man, do you know it would be so hard if the Pelicans decided to trade Brandon with that type of contract? It would be so hard to get rid of him. And the thing is, it's like right now in training camp, Brandon's shooting threes, but once he gets that contract, who's to say that he just won't go back to playing how he wants to play? Because he actually made that clear. He's making that clear in his interviews. He loves his mid-range. He's like, yeah, my mid-range is cold. Like he was boasting.
It is cold, but that's not what.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's not
fitting. You make your money with your threes, bro.
Yeah, that's not fitting with the team. And I don't know if y'all knew it's a shooters league. So, I mean, you like decisions when it comes to business, decisions have to be made.
Straight up.
And you can't be delayed and you can't drag your feet and fiddle faddle and try to think that you're gonna hustle everybody. Like, dude, you are not Danny Ainge. You are not Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is a cold-blooded monster at doing that type stuff. Dr. Octopus, dog, you are not. You are not. That's not your gift. Your gift is BSing, like at a high level.
He definitely do that.
He does that beautifully. It's actually like artistically, it's a beautiful art that he can do that.
You got to be half asleep to fall for that bullshit, though.
But he does it, look, meaningful and mechanical. Those are his favorite words.
You get stuck on words too easy.
I mean, look, and then
that's how you know it's bullshit. That's how you know it's BS.
You have to, like, one thing, and this is, the league is constantly changing. You know, teams are aggressively trying to win. They're trying to win. And so the thing is, you can't be stuck in time and not just make changes. How many years went by and Griff didn't make any changes? Let me tell you something. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care about that second round pick. JV walked. The Pelicans did not get anything for JV. A walking double-double. You got absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're letting a double-double just, let me just go away. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. You drug your feet, you didn't get a deal done with him. And really, you look at Brandon, it screams out the same situation as JV. It'll be really something when the trade deadline comes, because it's like, okay, you didn't trade JV. And he was in the last year of his contract, just like Brandon is. You didn't get a deal done. So now the season's in, you lose JV. You see what I'm saying? So that's a better option, to lose JV instead of trading him to get something else, to get someone else. Like, you got to make this stuff make sense. It's the same exact situation. They haven't reached anything with Brandon. Now, what's going to solidify if it's the same storyline is if we get to the trade deadline, is the deal done with Brandon yet? Or are you all going to trade him?
I think they need to pull the trigger, man. That's the point of emphasis. You got, if it's you can't, man. Listen, man. Let me say this to some of the people, because maybe they don't know. They hadn't heard the timelines. This ain't nothing new. They've been talking about this stuff for years. When David Griffin stepped in the door, he talked about all these timelines and all these plans. Now, the timeline with BI and Zion. The Pelicans are choosing Zion over BI. And you know why. The reason why I'm talking to the family out here is because of the money. They're not going to pay him that kind of money. He wants the money. They're not going to pay him. So eventually, they got to get rid of him. And one of the family members said, why is there a narrative on getting rid of BI? Because that's what the team is doing. You got Trey Murphy, who they drafted with a first-round draft pick. First-round picks do mean something. We got a couple of them on the damn team. And sometimes when you're a team like the Pelicans, who don't want to go into free agency or might have difficulty attracting talent here, you got to draft well. So the Pelicans draft well. They get these guys and they groom them. They bring them up and make them NBA starters. Trey Murphy is at that juncture of time where he's ready to step into a role as a starter. Like Lexxah astutely mentioned, y'all heard him in the pressers a couple of days ago. So it's timelines. The timeline is over with. The timeline is up. As simple as that. And they're not going to keep Brandon Ingram and Zion beyond the trade deadline, because they're not going to get nothing for BI if that's the case. And then he'll take a bunch of pressure. He'll take a lot of shots and arrows from the faithful if he keeps them beyond the trade deadline. So realistically, December to February is what you got to look at. Timeline's up, man. That's what it is. They had years to get this together, regardless of what happened with Zion's injuries or BI and all this kind of stuff. The timeline is up. You can't reverse. The time is done.
Yeah.
They got guys that's ready, that are younger, that you drafted, that's ready to step in that role. The timeline's up, man. Ain't no reversing this. Ain't no going backwards. This is only going forward. So, like I said, I like BI, but I do understand what timelines mean and why he's still here. They're here because the contract demands, and the Pelicans didn't want to trade him, according to David Griffin, who makes all this terrible because he's not doing a good job in doing all this bullshit lying. That's why I don't really care for the man, because he lies too much. He spreads too much BS as opposed to just tell the truth. And he contradicts himself constantly in his own interviews. It was a red hot market for him. And then, we didn't really want to trade him. Which is it? You didn't really want to. So it's just lying, man. Just lying. And that's what bureaucrats do. He's a bureaucrat. He's a politician. We see this all the time. Politicians are trained liars, man. That's what they do. They train to lie to you. They train to dodge questions. They train to give you bullshit. And the only way they don't get their bullshit out on you is if you stand on square and you say, hold on, partner, you didn't answer the question. I said this, and force them on it, because they're going to dodge and duck and hide, and everything else is going to be the fault except for their decision making. So the timeline is up on BI. They're not going to pay him. It's already established. The only everything you can do is move the man between December and February. That's all we got to deal with. They made a decision that Zion is the guy. They've made a decision. Maybe they didn't have announced it, but you can see based on the moves, they're not paying BI. Zion ain't tripping, and they got DeJounte Murray to fit the Zion timeline.
Do you
So,
think
I mean,
that
it is what it
do
is.
you feel that matters? And this is for everybody in the chat. As far as them really being vocal about, hey, we are building around Zion, because we hear it from fans. You all hear it on the podcast. You hear it from different analysts, but we haven't heard that from Griff. We haven't really heard Willie Green say those things.
You ain't
You
gonna
all,
have, you ain't
I
gonna
mean,
have to
do
say
you
all
think
that,
that's
Lex.
important, huh?
You're not gonna hit because Willie Green is like we mentioned. Willie Green, like the two other coaches that you had, was strong and vocal coaches under Griffin are not here. Notice the people that he gets here that he wants to operate on him. He don't want to have anybody here that's more vocal than he is. Even the general managers he picks doesn't like to talk that much.
Well, good luck.
So I mean,
good luck with
that's the control
contact.
freak. Well, that's a control freak. So at some point now, because it's all on Willie Green, he can only duck and dodge so far. So I mean, like I said, man, people want to try to keep BI here and force timelines because they BI, they love BI, live BI. Man, this is goddamn business, man. It's about championships.
Yeah.
Whether Zion was injured in the past or not, they're going with Zion over BI. That's why BI ain't getting his paper. Bottom line, ain't nothing else to discuss or talk about on that. That's over with. And then if Willie Green's not going to talk on, he don't even fuss for these guys for injuries when Zion gets knocked and bang. So I expect him to talk for that, but not talk about the contracts. He gonna stay the hell out of that, Lex. That ain't none of his business. Plus, he's the type of personality that lends itself to David Griffin. David Griffin ain't taking no vocal leaders here because guys will tell him where to stuff it at. Just like Jock Vaughn told him when he told him you can have a job, but you got to take these coaches with you. And Jock Vaughn said, I'm not doing that. If I'm gonna take the job, I'm gonna hire my own people.
And again, that's poor, because really once he got in, he should have got rid of Gentry immediately. If you think about it, anytime a GM is hired on to an organization, that's one of the first things that they do because they want their people in there. And he didn't do that.
No.
And that was a huge mistake that he made. Like,
yes.
dude.
Oh yeah.
Henceforth, that's why you're on your third coach in Zion's whole tenure here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Which was horrible because there's been a lack of stability.
Right.
That's a lack of stability, within a huge position in the organization. That's the coaching position. That's your coaching staff.
But that plays to the VP though. That's what I'm saying. The guy's the VP, not the general manager. The point is he's a control freak.
And that because he's the one who's doing it.
Yes.
He doesn't even let the GMs do their jobs.
Oh, they do it. They just do it by his consent.
That too.
Yes. They do their job. They do it. That's why Trajan Langdon going.
You know what? Even analysts on ESPN, they make the same mistakes.
They ain't making no mistake. They know what they're doing.
That he's the GM and he not the GM.
He is the GM. He is. He's the GM. He is the.
According to
that's name only because he talks before they talk. You see what I'm saying? He talks before they talk. When media people are asking questions that the general manager is supposed to know, he's talking. He's saying stuff. He shouldn't even be at these meetings. He don't have nothing. Just stay away from the media, the press, and let your general manager handle it. But that's why Trajan Langdon gone, because he knew that he would not get credit for moves that he's making here, because you got a guy, we call him the octopus because he's a micromanager. He's the one that's tied up into these decisions. And if they go wrongly, the guy in general manager with the title will suffer. That's why I was saying that the fall guy, Trajan, got out of here. Willie Green is the guy that's going to suffer next, because if the team doesn't go to beyond where it's supposed to go, that's not going to fall on him. He's insulated himself well out of it, even though he's the top manipulator of these decisions. It's David Griffin. This whole BI situation is because of David Griffin. There's all this crap he trying to spin like, oh yeah, Brandon's excited to come back here, da 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 da. And BI wants his paper. But he spun it like, yeah, it's a good arrangement. No, you failed to move him. You failed. Whereas Brandon Ingram was demanding money. No, you been knew that. So it's never these guys' faults. That's why I stay on his throat like that. I stay on his damn throat like that. And you're right about the Willie Green thing. 3 coaches in 5 years is not stability. But this guy came along with a ring saying that I won a championship with Cleveland. I'm a championship general manager. I have championship stuff. And we all know that was LeBron James.
He is riding to the death. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
he doing it.
You as good as your last hit. What have you done for me lately?
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying?
You got your DeJounte Murray.
Hey, wait a second though. Guess what, y'all? Guess what?
Rich Paul?
Yes. DeJounte Murray is not really here because of Griff.
I know.
Rich Paul called Griff numerous of times and told him, yeah, y'all need to trade for him.
Not even Anthony Davis trade, man. Not even Anthony Davis trade was something he concocted.
That wasn't, and Griff did say that. If you don't believe me, go again. He said it in DeJounte's presser.
Yeah, he said it. I remember him saying it. At least he did. Yeah, he did give you that.
Yeah, Rich Paul. That was all Rich Paul. That's why DeJounte is here. That's really the only reason. But he's not here. He's not here because Griff just magically thought this stuff up.
And see this. Let me add this to it, Lex, because we talked about the Valanciunas thing. Valanciunas was a good player for the Pelicans. He didn't cost a lot of money to keep him. He stylistically didn't fit what Willie Green wanted to do. Willie Green wanted a more mobile center that can run the floor, stuff like that. That he didn't get that. But how did he end up getting Valanciunas if he wanted a mobile big that can run in that type of system? How did he end up with Valanciunas? How did we constantly end up with players that didn't fit the scheme that the head coach that he hired wanted to do? How we keep ended up with these players that the man can't play in this system? That's what I'm saying. It's like it was disjointedness between what the coach was asking for versus what he was getting. And that's why I was like, man, don't make no sense for Valanciunas to be a double-double guy. Didn't miss any games, but you can't use him. You can't use them.
It's 2 different mentalities.
Mentalities.
I don't know if you all have noticed, but when you listen to Griff talk and then you listen to Willie Green talk, do you all notice any differences in the way that they talk? They are not on the same page. They're not on the same page. Even in DeJounte's presser, I thought it was so funny because there was 3, none of them were in sync. They had 3 totally different mentalities. They were not on the same page.
I think David Griffin is a problem child for this organization, man. I think he really is. I've been saying this for a while about David Griffin, and I'm watching.
But he's a good human being.
I'm watching Swin Cash get those promotions. The last promotion she gonna get is to take his goddamn job, because she should be getting his job, because he can't. He been living off this fakeness. It was
Cleveland championship.
That Cleveland, which is LeBron James orchestrating. We all knew that was LeBron James. That's why he wanted to get out of there, and he talked about
PTSD, man. You
know what I'm saying? But he always been that way. He been did that way. He the one drafted that asshole out of Canada, that Bennett kid who was a bust. He was the one that took Kyrie and put him together with
Bennett.
With Deion. What's his name? The kid up there with Deion, who was the off guard, and Kyrie, and they couldn't stand each other.
Deion Waiters.
Deion Waiters. So he had this guy was doing stuff like that. And then LeBron came there and basically told him, hey, man, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. And he didn't like that because it removed the power away from him to do it. And then he came here with all this basketball cult nonsense. We building a basketball family. Yeah. You want to build let me tell you something.
See, that's another thing that
you build a basketball family, though, Lex. It's a cult. It's a basketball cult.
I don't want family.
Yeah, you get a family by
The
doing what?
foundation don't need to be family. The
You,
foundation needs to be winning, dog.
but that's how
Like,
you get a family. That's how players play. You have to
no, that's
win.
how you get
That's
attached.
how,
That's
that's how you get it. You have to win. You have to be able to win, and then you get a tighter culture. Go ahead,
And
Lex.
I'm not talking about regular season. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to understand what I mean by when I say winning. I'm not talking about regular season. I am talking about, again, where
Yakeem, I don't know what you
build your
smoking, brother.
credibility. Where do you build your legacy? Where do you build your notoriety? You get that in the playoffs, man. You get that in the playoffs. That's winning. That's how you win. Winning in regular season and being a borderline playing team. Come on, man. Are you for real?
It's
I just want the fans to elevate how do we define winning? You know what I'm saying? And it's not just regular season. Yes, you do have to win a certain amount of games in regular season to place in the playoffs, but real winning, Pelicans fans haven't tasted that yet. The organization hasn't tasted that yet for real. Because it's always been, all right, yeah, we almost had 50 wins. Don't be stuck on 50 wins. What have we done in the playoffs? What have we done?
consistently hadn't done anything. That's why a lot of the NBA considers the Pelican. That's why a lot of people consider the Pelicans a joke. You have Tony Allen looking like a guy that just hopped off the back of the trash truck, criticizing the Pelicans in interviews, and that guy Ben stopped playing for the Pelicans. All the shit he could talk about, and he just goes off on Gentry, and we knew Gentry wasn't nothing, but like we said, Gentry should have been fired. But you have bad leadership for years. Then people don't know what they're doing. Dale Demps stayed on top of the team. He didn't know what he was doing. Even the great David Stern called him. He said, this guy is the worst general manager in the league.
Yeah.
David Stern said that when he was running the team it's like, this guy's the worst general manager. We've been dealing with this. It's stupid leadership for the longest time. Now listen, that's past stuff. Now we coming forward now. And the team is a lot of pressures on the team because even though the arrows are falling on Willie Green, I'm keeping the target where it belongs, on the key orchestrator, the key manipulator of the whole damn thing. It's not Bryson Graham for the BI debacle. It's not Bryson Graham.
He's piggybacking, Big Q.
It's not. Well, he happy to be there. Happy to be there.
Man, look. If I had a dime for every time he said, I'm just gonna piggyback off of
man don't know, Lex.
David here. I'm like, dog.
But he don't know.
Stop piggybacking off of him and
he don't know.
And speak what you.
Them guys ain't, listen, no disrespect to Bryson Graham, no disrespect to Willie Green, but those personality types is what he's hiring for. He don't want an alpha mentality to challenge him with his bullshit, because that's what it is.
You know how they've been describing DeJounte.
Well, that he
an alpha leader.
Well,
you know
good.
What I'm saying?
That's
like,
what we need.
He's very, very vocal. You know what I'm saying? He talks a lot. Well, I think it's funny because Willie said he doesn't talk much. And then in that same sense, he said that he's very vocal. And he speaks a lot on this and speaks a lot on that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he said that in an interview, Lex. He talked about, I heard him talk about that on interviews. Yeah. He talks about that in interviews and little side interviews that he do on some of these other little shows.
I'm like, okay,
he talks about his mentality going forward. It's a part of his upbringing and how he brings that identity into these games to do what he do. It helps motivate him, his toughness and all that. It's good having that type of mentality on the Pelicans because the top of the team is soft, man. They cotton candy soft. You know, we need toughness. We need
calm, cool, and collected.
Man, it's a time to lose it. It's anger. Anger is not a bad thing. The Most High gave you anger for a reason.
And that's that. Hey, you hit
it.
Yeah,
you got anger for a reason. It's a time to take it to their ass. It's a time not to take it to them.
Yeah.
But it's all in the balance. You that's what I'm saying. You're not going to get far in the NBA unless you can match the aggressiveness of your adversary. If these guys coming at you on some aggressive stuff and you're not matching that energy, you're going to get ran over. And that's what happened with Draymond, with him disrespecting That's what they say about the Pelicans. And the Pelicans are seen as a joke. Let's just keep it a buck. They're
And don't
seen as a
forget
joke.
Jimmy Butler too.
Yeah, yeah.
Jim, you know,
Right. So I mean, these are when they say that, you can't discount it because these guys are champions, man. These guys are really good players. You
and
know,
they
that's
proving it on the
respected.
court. I mean,
Right.
Jimmy's not a champion, but he's gotten to the finals 2 times out of 3 years or something, which is
Ain't
that ain't
nobody
nothing to turn your nose up at.
ain't nobody questioning Jimmy Butler's toughness. There's nobody
Yeah,
questioning Draymond. They
but he
might not
works
like
hard.
Draymond
Dude
when
works
Draymond
hard.
Green what he says, but
I
ain't
actually
nobody
admire his
disrespecting
game. I
Draymond
just
Green.
like what I said about the Pelicans. But yeah, I admire his game because the thing is they back it up. And that's what it's about, man. I mean, it's like even if you don't talk like that, it's like, man, go out there, play your butt off and play with that it factor and shut all these people up. Because the thing is that, like I said, and I'm pretty sure anybody who's played basketball, a pickup game, whatever, it doesn't even have to be basketball. You know, when somebody says something about you, you know what I'm saying, about your game or your performance on whatever you do, I like to think that don't make y'all feel a certain kind of way. And it's for anybody in the chat.
It's supposed
You
to
know
make
what I'm saying?
it's supposed to make you get up for the occasion, man. You got to
Like,
stand up, respect
all
it.
right, shoot, you doubt me or something? You know what I'm saying? You think I'm a chump or something? Yeah, all right, I got something for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of people have that, and it doesn't have to be basketball. It can be anything. Like, it's like, oh, okay, all right, I got something for you. I'm gonna prove you wrong. That's what the Pelicans got to do. We need more of that attitude, and DeJounte has it, and I'm hoping that'll fuel that energy will fuel like that cup will just run over and everybody else, because I mean we definitely need a full attack of that type of attitude.
Yes, indeed. That's what will be required to make it into the playoffs and to get to a second round series. That's what's going to be needed. We're going to need toughness, intelligence. We're going to need the health to be on our side. We're going to need a lot of those things, man, because it's a long season, man. So a lot of things, man, a lot of things. But the season gets started Monday, man. It gets started on Monday. 12:30 tip-off time in the Smoothie King Center against the Magic, the first one of four, one home game, 3 away games. Pelicans start off, man. So, man, a lot of this will be monitoring this stuff, man, and making sure everything goes. See what happens with our Pels, man. And Zion's good health, and Willie needs to have a bump up in intelligence and coaching style and all this kind of stuff. We need to see it, man. We need to see some improvement. Plus, there's other things going on with the team. I like to see what the bench looks like, guys that can round out the bench rotation and all this kind of stuff. So it's still a lot of stuff to witness and watch going forward. Last thoughts before we close out, Lex.
Who are all the teams that we're playing against? We don't play Orlando twice, do we?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you play them at home in the Smoothie King Center, then you go to Orlando.
Okay.
5 days later. We get the schedule. There you go.
And okay. Miami. Okay, so the Florida teams and Houston.
Mm-hmm. And then that'll be it. We close out. Then we open up the regular season on the 23rd. I think we open up for the 23rd. So
guess I got to rev up my NBA League Pass.
We're getting close. We're getting close.
Dude.
All right. So anyway, with you hold on, Lex. You want to add a little bit more of that, or that was it? You just wanted to know?
No, I just wanted to know all the teams. Something must be going down in Florida, though. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Shoot.
Yeah, they got a storm, and that's supposed to be monitoring. Well, it ain't monitored yet, but they're anticipating a lot of weird activity going on right now with these storms. Very weird, man. Anyway, we're going to get out on that. Listen, I appreciate each and every last one of y'all for chiming on this episode of PPR, man. Listen, man, it's the start of the season. Let's see if all of this stuff that happened from the past with the Pelicans culminate to a point where they get in the playoffs and do some damage. We're hoping that. But there's a lot of stuff to happen between now and then, the whole BI situation, knowing what's going on there. All this stuff will be revealed as we move forward in the season. And we're just going to continue to keep an eye on it like we've been doing for years now. So with that being said, I'm going to get on that. Listen, y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share. Sharing is caring. Please feel free to share the show on your social media feed, man. We up in this thing, PPR representing. And we're going to holler at y'all on the...
You're listening to the Pelicans Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow.